Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
Well, unfortunately, here's the bad news about this time of year. You don't sleep after wins or losses. I saw the clock at 4:10, and I was like, oh, man.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
That was picked off, and it's a pick six by Jalen Petrie.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Catch is made by Amari Cooper, who broke free. Inside the 20, stays in bounds, and is wrestled out at the Eagles' 8-yard line.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Have this up. All right, here we go. SicEm365 Radio on this Thursday afternoon, running until 6 o'clock. A lot of things to get to, including NCAA making decisions on how the bracket, once it is set, will go forward if, in fact, there are any issues with COVID. We'll have that and also hear from Scott Drew on that as well. Cole Barber put this up on his Twitter page, and if you can weave in and out of Colt and him and his complaints with officiating, there's a lot of other things in there that are incredibly good. Here is spring sports for Baylor. Golf, number 1 in the country. Acrobatics and tumbling, 1. Men's basketball, 2. Men's tennis, 2. Women's basketball, net, 4. Volleyball, 6. Equestrian, is that 6? Track and field in the top 25. Men's golf in the top 25. Softball in the top 25.
Yeah, the athletic department continues their role. Nothing's much changed with COVID.
And, of course, a lot of them have just started. Baseball tomorrow, the Baylor baseball team in the tournament that's down in Round Rock will open up with Texas A&M tomorrow. They'll get tested this weekend, no question about it. A&M, Auburn, and Oklahoma in non-conference games in Round Rock. The women are about to start a softball, the Lone Star Invitational that's hosting that. In fact, this week with UConn, Ole Miss, Lamar, Mississippi State, who's in the top 25 along with Baylor. Craig, what do you think happens if you set the tournament and the tournament begins and then all of a sudden, let's say you into the second round of the tournament and so-and-so is supposed to play, let's say UConn's supposed to play Coastal Carolina. They're not very good, but I'll throw them out there. And then Coastal Carolina cannot play. What should happen?
I don't know. I would imagine the team that they beat maybe gets another chance. Maybe UConn just gets to move on to the next round, but then that could be problematic because you could see a team get to the Final Four without playing but one game, so that wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. But, I mean, outside of them forfeiting or, bringing back the team that just lost, I don't know.
What they're going to do, once the bracket is finalized and released, teams will not be reseeded, nor will the bracket change. Reasonable efforts will be made to ensure a full field is in place before the start of the championship tournament. No replacement teams will be introduced after it begins. Every participating conference should have the opportunity for a minimum of one team in the championship field. And beyond the goal of having at least one team from every conference, replacement teams must be among the best teams being considered for an at-large bid.
Yeah, and then you really only have like a 3-4 day window to get in if you are a replacement team.
Separate policies for when a team is forced to withdraw. 1 for before the announcement of the championship field and 1 after the release of the championship bracket. Replacement teams will only be introduced into the championship within 48 hours after the announcement of the field and no time thereafter. So once they set it 48 hours before the tournament begins, if somebody has to pause or stop, they're done and you move on. It's kind of like, it's not a bye because a bye it might be a bye. Basically, you move into the next round. If Baylor's going to play somebody and if somebody else has an issue, Baylor just won't play that game. They move into the next round. And that's really the only way. Otherwise, it could get so confusing, so convoluted, right? So,
yeah. Well, I mean, I thought about every other option like Craig threw out there. That'd be really tough to do, to just pull a team back in and be like, hey, guess what?
Isn't that what we discussed? We discussed it with high school football. What did they do?
They didn't do. They
just moved on.
Yeah. Hey, guess what? You're in the tournament. You're playing Gonzaga tomorrow. Go. It's impossible.
Yeah, that'd be difficult to do. So layman's terms, can you basically break down what that says? Like,
once the tournament is set within 48 hours, if it's before the 48-hour deadline of the tournament beginning, there still can be changes within the bracket. Once they get to the 48-hour mark prior to the first game of the tournament, it is set, no changes. So once the tournament is within 48 hours of starting, and then even after it starts, if a team has to pause, they just don't play, and whoever was supposed to play them moves into the next part of the bracket.
Okay, so that was one of the two that I threw out there. So, yeah, I mean, that's going to be awesome to see potentially a team go 3 rounds without playing a game. Like, I mean, that's the downside, and that's unlikely, obviously, but there's still an opportunity for that. But, I mean, what else are you going to do? You want the tournament to be held, and you don't want to have to cancel again. So, with as much uncertainty as there is, it's really about all you can do. You just have to cross your fingers and hope that your Final Four is not half wiped out, on that final weekend where, all of a sudden – something were to pop up. But, I mean, I'm glad they're, at least putting that out there, and we're getting a better idea of how it's taking shape.
Well, Scott Drew and Baylor men's basketball had their media session. They play Saturday in Lawrence against Kansas, a chance to wrap up the regular season Big 12 title with a win. Of course, there's still some contingencies with that. Then next Tuesday, West Virginia, Thursday, Oklahoma State at home. And then on Sunday of the following weekend, they host Texas Tech to close out the regular season. So Scott Drew, Paul Catalina was a part of the media session. When asked about the guidelines of when the tournament, once it's set, his thoughts about it.
Well, to be honest, I've been watching Kansas film all day, so thanks for telling me what's up. As far as that goes, I would suspect that hopefully with the NCAA precautions, when we get there, every team will have a chance to finish what they started, because you'd hate to see any team not have an opportunity to compete that's earned that right. And at the same time, if someone does have to vacate and can't play, you'll control what you control and get ready for the next opponent.
Yep, that's all you can do, right? You can't. You can't control it. It's something that can happen. You could have the Gonzaga. You could have Baylor. You could have Michigan. You could have some of the elite teams come down with it. We've seen most of all come down with it at some point anyway. And so you just move on. And that could lead to something kind of, not just a Cinderella advancing because of a win or two. How about a Cinderella who advances maybe because of a win or two, and then all of a sudden they get a chance to advance because of COVID. And then next thing you know, they're in the Elite Eight. And it could be somebody that you didn't expect to even get through the first or second round.
That's the ultimate Cinderella story, isn't it?
Yep.
Just sit on your back and wait for it to come to you.
Yeah, you can't expect that. You can. I don't even know if you can hope for that. I hope you don't, but because it could be you as well.
Well, I mean, I doubt anybody's hoped for the very small chance that would even occur, but there is the chance that it could happen, or that you could miss at least one game and advance as a result of that. So, the precautions will be interesting. All these teams are going to be converging on one place here pretty soon. And we've seen the problems that Baylor alone has had. Just one false positive and all hell breaks loose in football. And then a few months later, one false positive and all hell breaks loose in basketball, and you don't play for 3 weeks. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a scary thought. I know that's not something you can have on your mind, because otherwise you just worry yourself to death. But that is like the grave concern that no one probably wants to think about, is getting to the tournament and then coming down with, the virus and having to be eliminated that way. So fingers crossed.
Yep. I hope that nobody has to do that. I was told today that Grant Taff had lunch with the Baylor football coaches. Coach Aranda wanted the current staff. Of course, there's some new infusion with Mateos and obviously with Stuckey and with Grimes, and now with as well Kevin Curtis. There are some new coaches in the mix, and that Grant Taff, and this is something Aranda's done before. This is something I think every coach has reached out to Grant Taff and said, hey, will you come and maybe, a lot of the ones who are there now that need to know that at one point at Floyd Casey Stadium, there was a closet that was the locker room or was their weight room. And he's told that story many times with us. And just to kind of set the tone, one of the things that I've heard from athletes who are commits, those who are interested in Baylor, and even the new coaches, is how impressed they are with the facilities that Baylor has up and down University Park. And if you really think about where they were 15 years ago, 17 years ago, even 10 or 12 years ago, it's just insane, the look. And if you stand up in that presidential suite and you look down the river and you look at that campus and you look at the facilities they have, it is pretty amazing, especially if it's in the evening as the sun starts to set.
And look, it's kind of funny, Coach Taff, it's one of the things we've heard from him. Part of the reason he decided it was time to step away from coaching was, he didn't want to be anywhere else, but it was getting harder to win at Baylor because, you go to Texas or Texas A&M or some of these places and they have these legit weight rooms, and Baylor had 3 Nautilus machines and a Stairmaster.
Yeah.
And so it was hard to keep pace.
All right, Joel Corey, go ahead, Craig.
That's all, really nice stuff, but I'm also, aware of the fact that they were doing a lot of fundraising right before the pandemic hit, and I'm curious as to where that is. Every week I try to remind myself to ask Mac Rhodes, but there's always some other drama going on that makes fundraising and a new facility sound like the last thing probably on his mind. But at the same time, you do look around, there are a lot of projects that they were gearing up for, football, the big football ops building and all of that. Yeah. I mean, it's nice, but, they are kind of also getting to a point here pretty soon where that's going to need to be upgraded, and that's going to need to be kind of, not the stadium, but, the other things. That's just a constant update that you have to go through. But
which would you think is the most important
football
upgrade?
Ops building, not even a question about it.
Yeah, because the basketball arena, as much as those two programs, especially with what the women have done with their 3 national titles and what Scott Drew and the men are doing right now, it'd be nice. That's still going to take a lot of time.
Yeah,
that doesn't get popped up overnight. The ops building really affects a lot of things, and then what you have now on University Parks becomes something else that can be of use to the athletic department as well.
What's most deserved? Probably basketball in a new arena, just for the success those two programs have had. They deserve to have a palace of sorts to share and to, have people come and enjoy. So, I mean, if just like picking, like, what's your dream project that should happen? Yeah, a new basketball arena would be awesome. As far as what do I think football will get more use out of their building than basketball will get out of theirs? Yeah, probably. I think that they're so crammed into that setting that they've been in for years and years and years now. They've sort of outgrown that place, and football has outgrown the setup that they're in now. So it's kind of the way of the world now to have your own field house and have your own digs. But, I mean, we'll hopefully get back to a point with Mac Rhodes where things settle down. We can actually address those kind of topics again.
And if you think about functionality, when you give the football ops center, what you do is you take like 150 people out of a building and give more space to the other athletes.
To a bunch of other sports.
Yeah, so you have all these other athletes able to use that. And it's just, as opposed to, yes, the basketball arena is the coolest thing and the biggest thing, but functionality-wise, still only 2 teams are going to use it, and they're 2 of the smaller teams. When you talk about, look, the football program makes up most of the rest of the athletic department if you just talk about pure bodies involved of running an NCAA football program. So, yeah, you're going to move 150 people out, and then that's a lot of space.
And that's something they were talking about even when Bryles was still here.
Oh,
Think about how long ago that was. Yeah. So, imagine if they needed it or it was a want 7 years ago. It's certainly a want now. But
if you're a Baylor fan and you hear what we're talking about with the facilities, and we moved into that based on the needs and what's going on with the cost or whatever, and it is kind of, you got to be careful about what you ask for right now, because Baylor, along with everybody, they've been hit with pandemic and loss of funds and loss of this and loss of that. What would be the number one thing, based on not your selfishness, but based on what would be used or most important at this particular time, like over the next year or two? Because that's not going to go up in 5 months. They're not going to have it up in 5 months. They're not like A&M. They're going to build a stadium in a matter of an off season. But what would you like to see the first of the facilities that go up? Would it be the basketball arena complex, whatever it's called, field house, and or the football ops building, because of what also then can be done in what is the Simpson Hires building as well? I saw this story. Joe Corey, a former NFL agent, he worked for CBS Sports, wrote a long column about the Cowboys and Dak Prescott. It's going to be great to hear from somebody who has negotiated contracts before and what he thinks is going to happen. And at 99.999%, like John Machota said, the ball and the leverage is in the hands of Dak Prescott and his agent. But we'll have Joe Corey today at 3:30. King McClure will join us at 4. We'll also have Mickey at 4:30, Mickey Spagnola. This is also the anniversary of 1987, I think it was, when SMU received the death penalty. Mickey wrote a column or an article that day in what was then the Dallas Times-Herald. We'll have Mickey on today at 4:30. Ellison High School coach Alberto Jones, they're playing tonight against Saxe in 6A. They're 26-2. He'll join us. And then also Art Strickland on the PGA Tour and anything new, latest involving Tiger at 5:15.
Get your old buddy Dale Hansen on to say how he cracked the whole case with an empty envelope.
Yeah, he did. I mean,
all he had was an envelope.
He absolutely did. And so that's what we have today. I got to get this. It has nothing to do with anything we just mentioned, but I saw this yesterday, and maybe I'm just oblivious to the NBA. The couple of days ago, the Jazz beat the Hornets by 22. Do you know that they took 55 threes in that game?
Yeah, get used to it. That's where the NBA is going.
I just didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
George Niang, who used to be at Iowa State, had 7 threes. Ingles hit 7. They had 28 of 55 threes in a game. And I don't know about, that's just maybe me not paying attention. I just throw that out there. That's crazy.
That's a James Harden stat line. I mean, I don't know what's so surprising. But yeah, I mean, that's sort of, some of the game of the NBA these days.
The NBA and Major League Baseball are kind of similar in that the analytics have said, okay, hit home runs and strike people out in baseball. And in the NBA, they're like, look, just shoot threes.
Yeah, just shoot enough of them. Yeah, you shoot enough of them. And again, you hit a bunch of threes. It's like as good as hitting almost, not quite, but almost hitting as many twos or twice as many twos. I'm just going to look at this box score real quick. The Warriors last night, they were 5 of 26 shooting threes. Pacers were 7 of 29. So 55 is insane.
Yeah.
Not the record, but that just was a crazy number that popped out at me. And a lot of it was because of George Niang being the kid that used to be such a good player for Iowa State. 254-339-1122. We're going to hear another comment from Scott Drew and Macy O'Teague.
T-Rex, you're on the Impact Health Labs color line here on SicEm365 Radio. Good afternoon.
Hey, gentlemen, it's your favorite dinosaur. Real quick, just concerning building and preferences. Like you said, sure, basketball, they definitely deserve it, right? And then there's obvious reasons, it's just like Floyd Casey. We couldn't fill that place. We made McLean smaller. You get a sellout, better atmosphere. Same thing with the arena. However, pure economics say football comes first. Football needs more space. Football brings in tons more money. Unfortunately, it's just like high school sports. Everyone loves the band. Band ain't winning games. Football's winning games. I don't mean that to be rude, but I think you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Football makes money, return on investment, and there's a reason that Texas has huge facilities. A&M has huge facilities. Football makes money. Unfortunately, basketball doesn't make near as much money. If in some situations doesn't make any money, depending on the program. So pure return on investment, and like you said, space for other sports, it all trickles down. Got to start at the top, So people can argue that all day, but money runs everything around you, and that starts at the money and ends at the money. I think a lot of people would agree with that, but just want to put it out there. I think Operations Center definitely has to come first. New arena, we'll get it when we get it. That's all I got. Sic'em Bears.
Thank you, T-Rex. Appreciate the call. Appreciate your time. 254-339-1122 if you want to also add to that which of the athletic facilities that were planned, which one, and selfishly, yes, you might want the arena or the field house, but which one do you think makes more sense based on the need and what it can do within the entire athletic department? 254-339-1122. Now,
also, T-Rex, you don't have to protect the feelings of high school.
You've lost your
here.
voice today, haven't you?
Yeah, I've lost one yesterday. I'm raspy. I've been smoking 8 packs a day or something. I don't know. That's what it sounds like.
It sounds like more than that.
Yeah, but he doesn't have to.
I had mine a couple of days ago. I've been able to kind of get through that.
Yeah, he doesn't have to suffer the high school ban, backlash.
Well, because he's never said what you've said about them.
I mean, they waste 8 minutes.
Scott Drew and Baylor, they play Saturday in Kansas. I'm trying to keep you out of trouble.
I don't care.
Scott Drew in Kansas, at Kansas, and the men's basketball team now 18-0, 10-0 in the conference. Scott Drew on now. How long does he think it might take for his team to get their so-called sea legs completely back?
And again, I know our coaches staff was really just appreciative, proud of the effort they put out there and the heart that they showed. Yesterday we were able to recover. Today, obviously, we'll get back to practicing. So hopefully, again, I know talking to a lot of coaches that went through a pause similar to ours because every pause is different. But normally it takes a couple games, and we're blessed. We got a lot of upperclassmen, so hopefully it's sooner than that.
All right, so that's Scott Drew on that. Maceo Teague, he's the one that had to play through it. You could see that they had concrete in their legs and they were running at times in quicksand. And, man, they just didn't have some of that explosiveness. They found a way to still win on Tuesday night against Iowa State, come back from 17 down. What does he think as a player?
I feel like it's a process. Playing 5-on-5, playing in the game is way different than playing in practice. Playing in 5-on-5 is way different than going through workouts, no matter how hard the workout is, just getting up and down the floor. Like, simulating the game is really hard to do. So we'll be prepared Saturday.
Maceo Teague and Scott Drew, how long do you think it takes? Because there's not a lot of time between when they did Tuesday. They had yesterday's off, probably did some, conditioning, weight work, whatever. Back to work today, a little bit tomorrow, travel tomorrow night, Kansas Saturday.
I would think, hopefully, after West Virginia, they're about 90% of where they need to be, and then by the time they're done playing these 4 games, that they're at full speed again.
Man, I hope it doesn't take 4 games. It very well might, but, I fully expect to see some more rustiness on Saturday. To what extent, I don't know. I mean, I would think that Iowa State game did a world of good just to play, just to kind of see where you are. I would think there's still some more rust this Saturday, and maybe there's still some more to knock off. I mean, I know you don't just return to playing championship-level basketball after missing 3 weeks with varying practice schedules, and you just play 2 games and you're back. So, yeah, I'm sure it'll take a while, but hopefully not too long, because they don't have too long. I mean, they got a week and a half, and then it's go time basically. But it's go time right now too, because you still have not won the Big 12 titles. So that's still out there until you win your next game.
I don't know what's going to happen Saturday in Lawrence. I don't expect if they go in and win, even though Kansas lost to Texas on the road. That's a road game in Austin against Texas, and KU had been playing pretty well. But I even mentioned this, even that little run they were on, they did it against some teams that you expect really in the end that they should be able to beat. There's 3 teams in the Big 12 that you can't afford to lose to: Kansas State, Iowa State, and TCU, although some of them, Iowa State hasn't won a conference game. So they had done some of their, run against those teams, but you have to. If you've beaten them, you've beaten them. It's well on the schedule. I don't know what my expectations are for these last 4 games. We've done this before with football. When they've been in a grind, when they've been in a kind of they need to win, or they've been on a great roll. What would you take these next 4 games? Yes, you can say 4-0. I get it, and you might mean 4-0. What would you take to feel good about entering the Big 12 tournament or the NCAA tournament with the 4 remaining regular season games, with Kansas and West Virginia on the road, Oklahoma State and Texas Tech at home? What would you take? Would you take 2-2 and just go with it?
Yeah. I mean, if they're going to be in a roll, I don't think that they're going to do that.
That's not a roll.
But if they're going to be able to roll, get better. I don't know. I didn't expect anybody to go undefeated anyway. And the only reason they might wind up going undefeated is because they didn't have to play 18 games. So if they lose a couple games, it's not going to bother me. I do think that this team is a lot more focused on the way that they end the season, given the way that they ended the season last year. Maceo Teague actually brought that up briefly in today's press conference. So, yeah, it's very real to them to close strong. It's just, can they physically do it with teams that haven't gone through what they've just gone through physically, with a debilitating virus sweeping through their team?
Daniel says he'll take 2-2.
Yeah, who wouldn't take 2-2? It means you win the Big 12 and you win 2 games. You lose 2 games, but you still be a number 1 overall seed, still win the conference. What do you not get other than just saying you were undefeated? Which, like Paul said, if you play all of your games, the likelihood of that would have been, obviously less, that you would be in this position because you'd have had more opportunities to lose. So, the undefeated thing is great, but I don't think it's the end-all, be-all. And I also don't think that it automatically means that you're going to be raising the trophy that you ultimately want to raise at the end of the year. It would mean that, but I don't think it diminishes in any way if at the end of the year you're national champions and you've got 2 losses versus 0. I think it's ultimately just about winning what you're out there to win. And, hey, if you stumble a couple times, who cares if ultimately you get that Big 12 title in the trophy case and you get a Final Four net and a national championship trophy in the case. Hell, have 10 losses. That's not going to matter. What matters is ultimately that last result. So I'd be fine with 2-2. I know some people wouldn't be, but whatever gets them trophies. That's all that matters to me.
Yeah, Daniel said 2-2, 254-339-1122. So those are some of the questions today on the table of the athletic facilities that were planned. And the two biggest ones, I believe, unless I'm missing something, of course, there were some renovations and additions and all that as well, was the new basketball complex, arena, field house, whatever the term might be. I really don't care what they call it. And, of course, the football ops building on the Brazos River that would then turn the Simpson Hires building into something that would then be more for others within athletics as well. 254-339-1122. Armstrong, you got the mic today? All right, 4 games left.
Yes.
You know where they are. You know where they just came from. 10-0. Of the 4, what would you feel good about what they do if they could finish the 4 with what record?
What do I feel good with? I would feel good with 2-2. I would feel better with 3-1. But I was going to say I would take 1-3 if the 3 losses were hard fought down to the wire and game by game you saw them progressively getting better and maybe they win the last game, right? And you see them getting better. I would take that.
You expect them to win in Lawrence?
I don't expect them to win.
Yeah, I don't have a good feeling about Saturday for some reason because I think it's how tired they were. Yeah. But if I had to pick 2 games, I want them to number 1 beat West Virginia.
Yeah, you got to beat
West Virginia. That's the one.
Somehow
game,
do that one. Yeah,
that's the one game that matters. They went 1-3, but they beat West Virginia. There's not really a whole lot people could say. But the number 2 game would beat Kansas. If you beat Kansas on Saturday, you wrap it up, and then you go beat West Virginia, and hey, you drop a couple to Tech and to who else?
I honestly think a loss would almost be refreshing. Like, see, okay, now that the undefeated is off the shoulders. And
I know people, I was on a show last night up in Boston, and they were talking about they thought it would be a good thing to almost lose a game. I don't know it's ever good to lose, but I understand that there have been teams that have been overwhelmed with the burden of being undefeated, and you could almost see that in the way they play in a game that's down the stretch. Maybe even the Patriots, the way they played against the Giants a few years back.
Do you burn yourself out trying to beat Oklahoma State to just strictly remain undefeated, even if you've got everything wrapped up? Like, basically, do you burn yourself out to get that win? You know what I'm saying?
What about if you go 3-1, lose in the second round of the Big 12 tournament? You feel good about that? If you went 3-1 down the stretch, lost in the second game of the Big 12 tournament, which would be the semifinal.
I wouldn't like that.
No, I wouldn't like that either. I mean, now you're throwing the tournament in there. That's a different thing.
Yeah. Okay.
You need to go into the NCAA tournament hot.
All right. When we come back, Joel Corey, former NFL agent, what he thinks about the Cowboys and Dak, and he's got some truth serum for Jerry and Steven and company. This is SicEm365 Radio. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, pioneerboys.com. Online, they have heavy-duty stuff, product. They have heavy-duty metal building information, building designs, building components, color options, metal building galleries for you to look at of maybe what you want or what you've seen before. Metal roofing, including panel options. Pipe and steel, the structural standard, including in their pipe and steel. How about purlin tubing, beams and weld plates, H-braces and fence posts, culverts and gates, sheet and expanded metal. Over the years, they have gained, Pioneer Steel and Pipe, a reputation for having a large variety of inventory on hand for you, the customer, with large amounts of sizes, quantities, and pipes, tubing, purlin, angle iron, channel iron, flat sheets, round rod, and more. They aim to have everything you need for your next project. Whether you're a contractor or a weekend warrior, their service at Pioneer is Steel and Pipe and dedication to each and every one of you as a customer. And in business since 1943, you can look on the gallery pages and see what they have. They're also about to expand into a brand new facility on the corner of Loop 340 and also 12th Street. PioneerBoys.com.
1, 2.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. He keeps me coming back. Cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. Last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
We
We've sent the nomination forms to area high school counselors for the 11th annual Academic All-Stars team, and we will find 20 elite student athletes who excel in both academic and athletic competition from Central Texas high schools. Hello, everyone. This is David Smoak. Our title sponsor is Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952. The 2021 Academic All-Stars program is also brought to you by Westdale Asset Management, Englander Design Pack, Southwest Sports Medicine, Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Coca-Cola of Waco, Ray Broker Air Conditioning and Heating, Texas Sports Hall of Fame, HEB, the McLean Group, Universal Windows Direct, Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, and the Waco Foundation are 501c3. Nomination deadlines March 31st. We'll eventually announce the team on Monday, May 3rd. Honor them at our annual banquet on Wednesday, May the 19th. It's the 11th annual Academic All-Stars team highlighting the elite student athletes in Central Texas right here on SicEm365 Radio.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Are you ready to say big on a new 2020 Chrysler 300 Touring? A car with superior craftsmanship and quality. During the President's Day event at Allen Samuels, say big and drive a new 2020 Chrysler 300 Touring with special values of $7,250 or 0% for 72 months and $2,000 in combo cash right now. Visit the customer award-winning Allen Samuels located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco to see the incredible 2020 Chrysler 300 Touring. It's the best President's Day event going on now at Allen Samuels, your friend in the car business. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122. For your company's mass COVID testing, log on to impacthealthlabs.com.
All right, here we go. Craig Smoak, Paul Catalina, David Smoak. SicEm365 Radio. Joel Corey, former NFL agent, CBS Sports, and a guy that is incredibly knowledgeable and insightful when it comes to contracts and much more in the NFL, wrote an article, Agents Take. Can Cowboys sign Dak Prescott? Long-term ? Breaking down what it will take. And Joel Corey, great to have you, Joel. Thank you for being a part of the show. I really appreciate it, and I know you break these things down. When I read this, and I read it a couple of different times, why are the Cowboys playing with fire?
Well, they've been playing with fire for a couple of years because as soon as they dragged their feet, the price was going to go up if Dak continue to play well. And then when they didn't get the deal done last year before the July 15th deadline for franchise players to sign long-term, if we got to this point this year, the leverage was going to shift dramatically in Dak's favor. I know he got hurt and had the ankle injury and missed 11 games, but something strange happened. Typically, you get hurt, you lose leverage, but Dallas stuck up the joint offensively, so you got to actually see how much Dak's value was, at least offensively, to the team. So, in a weird way, it increases leverage.
So one of the points you make is about getting this done by March 9th. They essentially just have to capitulate and say, all right, what do you want? Like, here, let's do it. And Jerry Jones is not someone who at least outwardly likes to look like he loses a deal, even though historically he's lost tons of deals over the years. It just didn't look like that on the day of the press conference. So what do they realistically have to give him if they were going to do this in 2 weeks?
Basically, give Dak Prescott a blank contract and have him fill it in, because he has no incentive to get a deal done before they stick the franchise tag on him, unless he gets exactly what he wants. And by that, I mean the dollar amount, the structure, and the years. If they're not willing to do that, then they're going to have a $37.7 million cap hit because of the tag sitting on the books, and they're not going to be able to do a whole lot in free agency, because right now, if the cap is going to be 180, the floor, they have about 17.5 of cap room, so they have to restructure contracts or cut people just to accommodate the tag.
Joel, what do you think their plan was initially with this? I mean, you mentioned that Dak now has all the leverage, so what exactly were the Cowboys thinking to begin with when they did actually have some of the leverage themselves?
I don't think they were thinking, because if they were really thinking before they signed DeMarcus Lawrence, they would have made Dak Prescott the priority, and you probably could have gotten him in the low 30s, somewhere between Matt Ryan and Aaron Rodgers at that point, because Russell Wilson hadn't signed. And you moved the mark to $35 million. You didn't have Jared Goff and Carson Wentz on the books either. So, and then Dak goes out and has his best season in his contract year. So I don't think they were really looking at the big picture in terms of what to do with Dak Prescott. And then he probably threw salt in the wound by paying Ezekiel Elliott because, one, you rewarded negative behavior. He had the off-the-field issues, and then he holds out, he sticks a gun to your head, and you cave. You paid Jalen Smith when he was going to be a restricted free agent, so it was really 2 years before he's away from unrestricted free agency. And Lyle Collins got his second veteran contract since being an undrafted free agent. So if I'm Todd France, Dak Prescott's agent, more so than Dak maybe, I look at those things and I factor that in the equation.
Joel, the term hometown discount, as an agent, how often did a team give you a hometown discount?
Well, if a team had leverage, they were going to exploit it fully. Hometown discount seemed to only apply to Tom Brady, and that was because Tom Brady directed Don Yee, his agent, to take less money after the 2010 extension, where he was the highest paid player in the league. We saw Patrick Mahomes try to thread that needle by signing a usually long contract, which does make him the highest paid player, but over time will be surpassed. But players typically aren't going to give teams hometown discounts, particularly if it's going to be their first veteran contract.
Joel Corey, CBS Sports, former NFL agent on Dak and the Cowboys and much more with us on SicEm365 Radio.
So the Cowboys say that they want Dak back, and they've said nothing but they want Dak back and they want to get this done. Their actions, don't completely say that they don't, but they don't completely say that they do. If you're an agent and a player, how does this make you feel?
Well, their actions say we want Dak, but we want him at our terms. Well, those days are over because of the shift in leverage, which even Jerry has acknowledged, because I was surprised in the radio interview he had in early January. He said Dak couldn't have any more leverage than he has. So if that's what you've already acknowledged, to me, that means you're going to be the ones who are going to be caving. The days of wanting Todd France and Dak Prescott to concede are over or compromised, because the way Dak, and at least his agent will, Dak may be a different story. And remember that the agent works for the player, not the other way around. That at least Todd France is going to be looking at it, that I don't care where he gets his money. He can play for the 37.7 on the tag and then hit the market free agency like Kirk Cousins, who had indifference for where he was going to play football. Now, Dak may want to just be a Cowboy, which changes France's whole strategy, where he's like, if he has marching orders, under no circumstance do we not come out of this offseason without a deal. That's a different story. But if we have the Kirk Cousins marching order, and they didn't really engage with the Washington football team that year, it's basically, I'm going to get paid from somebody, whether it's going to be this year, next year. I can make $69 million over 2 years and then hit the open market. So it's a whole different equation than it's been in the past, at least for the Cowboys.
Joel, Jerry hasn't lost, I would say, not even on all fingers in a hand, has he allowed someone to leave that he didn't want to leave. I know that they eventually had to make a decision with DeMarco Murray. Well, then they got Zeke. They let DeMarcus Ware move on. He ends up winning the Super Bowl. But they really don't let people leave that they want to keep. In the end, do you feel like that has anything to do with anything, or is that just, me talking about what Jerry wants and what he gets?
Yeah, that's an interesting point. With DeMarco Murray, they ran him into the ground. They're telling, hey, we're going to use you up. You're a running back. You're disposable. But quarterback is a different position, because if you don't have a quarterback, it's very hard to be successful, at least consistently. You can have a Rex Grossman type year where you have a great defense, which isn't the Cowboys. But Jerry isn't in a position of strength now. So if Dak doesn't want to engage, or he's like basically gives him an ultimatum, this is the deal I want, or we're not signing anything, there's not a whole lot Jerry can do except go, you know what, I'll take the deal, or have him play on the tag, and then maybe just start worrying about plan B.
Do you feel like that because Dak seems to be someone that that you don't see the kind of thing you see with Deshaun Watson, and that's a different animal. Dak seems to be someone that's pretty even keel. Can people misread the killer instinct inside of him when it comes to this contract?
Oh, Deshaun Watson seemed like someone who was pretty even keeled until it was alienated him. So I don't necessarily know if you can read anything into it. I don't know if the tweets from Dak's brother reflect Dak or just his brother, but if they reflect somewhat what his brother thinks, then I'd have a little cause for concern, because his brother seems to have a little more animosity towards people who say something negative or who don't seem to agree with his opinion.
Joel, how surprised are you just the Cowboys wound up in this situation?
Yeah, I'm surprised. I thought that they would get it done last year. The hang-up was more years than anything else. I know they like to do longer deals, like the lifetime deal with Tyron Smith, but the quarterback market, you should have recognized that nobody's doing anything where they're giving up more than 4 new years except Matt Ryan and then the Patrick Mahomes anomaly, because even Deshaun Watson gave up 4 new years. You really should have just given him the 4 years last year, because if I'm Dak, I don't want to be under contract for 5 years through 2024. If I give you 4, then you win on the length of contract, which is why if I'm Dak Prescott, you wasted one of the 4 years I want to be under contract for with the tag. So now we're talking 3-year deal. I'm pretty sure that's where Todd France is looking at it. So that's still probably going to be a sticking point that Dallas has to overcome in their head.
You mentioned that you were surprised Jerry made the comment, and it's in your article. I don't know how you could have any more leverage. Why would he say that?
I don't know. Jerry's made comments before which have made me scratch my head. Like during I think it was the 2018 season, just gratuitously before a Falcons game, he said, I wouldn't trade Dak Prescott if I could get the first pick in the draft for the next 2 years or something to that effect. I'm like, why would you even say that? Because whenever you say stuff like that, at least what I used to do was I would keep a file for any time a coach, a GM, or an owner said something positive about a client, and it would come up in a negotiation. So I'm pretty sure that Todd France took note of the fact, Jerry knows he doesn't have leverage. So that probably gives him more ammunition, at least in his head, to go, I can play hardball if I want to. Obviously, he's got to have Dak on board to play as much hardball as he may want to, but it was a very curious statement.
Well, I mean, he also mentioned something that came out this week about owls and chickens and other stuff that was really
I didn't understand what that was.
I didn't either, man.
So,
well, at least he didn't say owls and chickens and glory hole.
Hey, we were there at training camp when he said the glory hole thing, so that's just kind of Jerry's way. Joel, so Cowboys moving forward, say Dak, they have to let him get to free agency because they just can't get it worked out. Do you think that they're better, that they would have to make a trade at that point? Could they trade Dak for another quarterback, or is that such a huge mountain to climb, given like if it was Dak for Russell Wilson, all you have to give up in that package to make it work?
Well, the first thing is Dak would have to want to go to Seattle. So he'd have to be indifferent about where he played, because as long as the tender's unsigned, he basically has a veto power over a trade, because you can't trade a guy on an unsigned tender, which was the Texans' problem a couple of years ago with Jadeveon Clowney. He didn't want to go to Miami, wasn't going to sign a tender there, signed a tender to go to Seattle. So that's the first issue. But then if you're talking Russell Wilson, they're going to have $30 million in dead money from the signing bonus if it's before June 1. So that's a whole other issue that could even accommodate it. But, yeah, if there's not a deal done by draft time, maybe Dallas has to consider, do we hedge our bets by taking a quarterback in the draft when we weren't thinking about it? And then you got to start thinking trade if you deem his demands to be something that you can never accept, and it becomes a signability issue.
As you watch what's happened with Deshaun Watson and the Texans, Joel, is that another one that you just scratch your head because of all the decisions the Texans either made or did not make?
Yeah, I don't understand how you alienate your 25-year-old quarterback who's mild-mannered, not reactionary and emotional for the most part, the way he doesn't want to play for the franchise. The first thing is I understand why you don't want to trade a guy, because the idea is to get a guy like him, not trade him for the chance that maybe you could draft someone who might one day be as good as what you already have. But I expect that situation to drag on, because one thing that the new GM isn't going to want to do is set a precedent that if you stick a gun to the team's head, you can get what you want. I think that part is kind of understated in the whole equation. But it's easy for people to talk tough in a stalemate, particularly from the player side during the off season, when you potentially have to lose money if it gets to that point, because you're getting fined on a daily basis, $50,000 a day, and then your signing bonus, part of it can be recouped. That can become a different story. So the smart thing for the Texans to do if they're trying to improve their roster for 2021 is the bigger haul as you can for him before the draft. If it goes past the draft, I think the thing gets very ugly.
Joel Corey has worked in the past, what was it, like 16 or 17 years as an agent. Hakeem Olajuwon, Shaquille O'Neal, Ronnie Lott, some great Hall of Fame names. Do you miss that part of the business now?
Certain aspects of it. There are aspects I don't miss. People would ask me what I did for a living, and I would jokingly say professional babysitter, so that kind of tells you the parts I don't miss.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Joel, thank you. You don't have to worry about me beating down your phone now, man. I tell you what, I know you just get, you looked, I'm surprised you didn't block my number. I wanted, of all.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Of all the people out there, though, I wanted to get it from you. We wanted to hear it from you. I'm glad you got back with us. Thank you so much. Good luck with what you're doing. Proud of what you're doing. And thanks for your time.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Joel Corey from CBS Sports. And, imagine that list.
What a cluster, you know what, the Cowboys have put themselves into, and for no reason at all. Like, just for no reason. They like, that's why I asked them the question of, what do you think they were trying to do from the beginning with this? Because where they are now, it's just the biggest misfire in every way, shape, and form. And, like, it just, even without taking into account what they've done with other players, but then you hear them start to bring up, like, the new contract for Lawrence and re-signing Zeke and rewarding bad behavior. And now Zeke looks like he's on his last leg already, I mean, based on last year.
You ever, like, do a project at your house and you think, like, okay, here's how we're going to do this. Let's lay this all out. And then when you get, like, halfway through it, you're like, oh, I did this all wrong.
No,
That's how I feel about the Cowboys.
It's like me trying to make something I've never made, cook something I've never cooked before, and about halfway through it, you just start winging it, you know? And it's not going to taste the way you wanted it to taste. Yeah.
And now here's the thing is, like, is he the guy? Like, I mean, you know, like, I'm starting to question it now, because I would have said a year ago, yeah, like, re-sign Dak and just be done with it. Like, why cause yourself all these issues and stress and problems and uncertainty? You've got a guy you think's the guy, go ahead and sign him. But now it's like, does Dak even want to be there now because as a result of all this? And then let's say even if he does, like, is he even going to be worth the money you're paying him now? Because now you're paying him way more than you were going to pay him initially.
Yeah, he put it in the article. It's a great article, again, by Joel Corey. Craig, you make a good point, but they're going to be able to put a couple of bubble years, Paul. Was that a couple of voided years that allow them to perhaps not be like handcuffed for too much?
That's fine, but that's fine. What I'm saying is, like, the value of what you're going to be paying for him, is he going to live up to that in any way, shape, or form? And I know it's the going rate or it's the market rate or whatever, but you've almost elevated his status by mismanaging this to where he's in the same class as, like, Russell Wilson. We're talking about him with guys who have won Super Bowls because they've made him like this piece that could potentially draw the fancy of some other teams, and now he's got so much leverage that other teams are like, maybe there's a chance we could go get Dak.
I think he's worth it. I know there's nothing that I know any more than anyone else that would know.
Well, I mean,
I think he's worth it because I think the opposite is even worse. That you go through years and years and years of Quincy Carter and the guys closing out their careers, the Vinny Testaverdes,
the baseball players.
Yeah, the what's his name, Chad Hutchinson,
Drew Henson.
Yeah. So to me, the opposite is worse. You can still, I like Dak. I like what he does. I like what he represents. I like the way he plays the game. I know a lot of people think he has flaws. Well, of course he does. There aren't many. Patrick Mahomes, we saw what a flaw is when he doesn't have great protection, right? Any quarterback's like that. Mm-hmm. I think he's worth it. That doesn't mean I'm right. That doesn't mean the Cowboys think that way. It will be interesting.
And I'll just say this real quick before we get a break. I think when I hear people criticize Dak to the level he gets criticized, like, what it translates to me is like, yeah, but does he have heat vision? No. Yeah. I want that.
Here's my thing. What has he done in the last year to be any more valuable than he was? So, like, you either wanted him or you didn't. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing he's done in the last year to change your opinion. So, yeah, it's bizarre.
He was on his way to shattering. Whether he would have continued to do that or not, crushing Peyton Manning's single-season passing yards record. He would have been in the 6,000 range.
That injury is the best thing that ever happened to him, probably. I mean, potentially. Just because,
contract-wise.
Yeah, contract-wise is what I'm saying.
When we come back, a couple of notes. A lot of you have already responded on the facilities question that we asked about basketball arena, football ops building. That's next, along with much more. King McClure at 4, SicEm365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac, they've got their New Year, New Ride savings event going on right now. And, of course, first things first, before all the great deals that Richard Carr has, is customer service is their number one priority. They are all about serving you, the customer. That's why they offer to bring the test drive to you. Of course, you're still welcome at the dealership, but if you are looking for a new ride and you want to be able to take advantage of the great deals, but at the same time you're a little bit unsure about getting out still at this point, well, Richard Carr can hook you up with a New Year, New Ride savings event. Stimulate your stimulus with savings on all new pre-owned cars and trucks in stock right now, like a 2018 GMC Sierra or a 2019 Buick Encore for only $199 a month, or a 2019 Jeep Cherokee for $249 a month. If you got bad credit, well, come see them. 100% credit approval is always the goal at Richard Carr, and they will let you test drive, like I said, at the office or at the dealership. They've also got thousands in savings on pre-owned vehicles, hundreds of cars on the lot, from trucks to SUVs, whatever you're looking for. They've got a deal on it most likely, and they've got the test drive waiting for you to go. They got the 2018 GMC Sierra, 2019 Buick Encore for only $199 a month, 2019 Jeep Cherokee, $249 a month. Those are a couple of deals they got going on right now. But let Richard Carr know what you're looking for. SUV, car, truck, they've got it all on the lot. Brand new or used, thousands in savings right now at the New Year, New Ride savings event. So book an appointment, head on over to the dealership, or give them a call and have them bring the test drive to you. Take advantage of thousands in savings on a variety of vehicles, new and used, the New Year, New Ride savings event at Richard Carr.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men
have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it. And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T is board-certified physician consultations, will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio Live Guest VIP Hotline is sponsored by Stonewood Dental. We are all in this together.
Some of your responses, and a lot of you, what of the new athletic facilities would you rather see first, knowing the pandemic has slowed down a lot of the process? I'm not in the know about how much, but basketball, Fieldhouse. This is a national elite program on the cusp of at least our fan support is that of an Abilene Christian high school. The new Fieldhouse, at least in the beginning, would have packed seats. The game support this program deserves. It's also an increase in recruiting ability as well. Also, not athletic, but glad our welcome center's being replaced.
Yeah, what's the timeline on that? Because all this 35 construction, it's all especially around Baylor, and that big field with it since they tore down the IHOP, it's just been sitting there waiting for it. So
football ops, basketball's an already a natty contender, getting any kind of recruits they want with what they have.
True.
They say football drives the show, so it would be by default football ops. However, a new basketball venue's long overdue, supports not one but also 2 elite programs. Basketball Fieldhouse, that's from Ashley. Not a surprise. Nova Bear, Basketball Fieldhouse, downtown Waco location. Since football has gotten several new items, since basketball got new facilities, my vote is a new Fieldhouse. Apparently, the Baylor Young Democrats are all voting for a new Quidditch field.
That seems unnecessary. That seems like an unnecessary.
Well, let's rephrase the question now. I didn't know that was going to be an option.
No, I think we need to add that into the mix. This is for me. We are doing fine in in the FC Farrell Center right now. Our current football ops building needs to be replaced.
So what you're basically saying is that the Democrat nerds play Quidditch, but the Republican nerds are too cool to play Quidditch? Come on.
Just party lines,
I'm just glad I said Quidditch correctly.
Do the libertarian nerds not want to play Quidditch? What about the socialist nerds?
Have you ever seen them play Quidditch?
I don't know.
I think I've seen a clip before.
From
it's a sight.
Basketball Fieldhouse. Definitely the new men's basketball arena. It's not going to be just that. It will be a basketball fieldhouse arena. All right, when we come back, King McClure on Baylor getting their feet back underneath them just in time. Iowa State, the win Tuesday, KU on Saturday. And this is SicEm365 Radio.
If you're in the market for a new home or looking to sell the one you are in, you need to call my friend Lance Donaldson and the Donaldson family team, brokered by eXp Realty. 254-214-3713. Look, buying a house it's a long, arduous process a lot of times, or sometimes it has to happen so fast that you don't even know what's going on because the market's going crazy. Well, whether it's long or fast or whatever you need to do, Lance Donaldson can manage that for you. He's going to be great to look at houses with. Believe me, this is a fun dude who's going to really have fun with you. He's going to have fun taking you to places you didn't even think you knew you'd like. That's kind of his deal. He's going to really hear you and really find out what's best for you and your family. Plus, if you're trying to sell your home, he's going to get you the best possible deal. So give him a call, 254-214-3713, or online, lancedonaldson.exprealty.com.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trust the doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
Waco's newest gym, Halo Athletic Center, 5725 Bagby across the highway from the Central Texas Marketplace, where motivation, inspiration, and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, bod pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof, where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletic Center and be a part of the change, your change.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
3, left side, good. King McClure, there's his second made 3 in the afternoon.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Baylor men's basketball media session earlier. We've heard from Scott Drew, Maceo Teague. Baylor Tuesday night took care of business just in time to remain undefeated, get back after the long pause. King McClure, of course, was there. He did the game. And King McClure now joins us from his comfy confines on SicEm365 Radio. You were there, or you were a part of that. Did you at some point feel like they had dug too much of a hole to get back in it and kind of feel for them, knowing they didn't have all of what they needed?
My honest opinion is no. I mean, during the game, like, yes. I mean, it was up and down. When they were down by 16, I knew they would come back, just because Iowa State really is not known for closing games. And when the game got close at the end, I had the same mindset, same thought. You know, Iowa State, they don't close games very well. I mean, they do something at the end, either to give it away or make a bad play, or they just allow teams to beat them. And I knew Baylor was good enough to get back in the game and then end up winning, and that's what they did. So I really wasn't worried.
Maceo Teague said today on the press conference that their defense was worse than their offense the other night, and that the defense will take. He felt like maybe a little bit to get back because of how physical they have to be. Do you agree with that? That it'll take a little bit longer for them to look like themselves on defense than on offense?
I mean, I don't know if their defense is worse than their offense. I mean, I think ultimately their defense, Iowa State had some tough shots. I mean, they made shots, but there was a few plays that just, you don't really necessarily see on a game-to-game basis with Baylor. I saw Davion Mitchell get beat on the back door a few times. Penetration that you normally don't see. Yeah, it's going to take them a minute to get back, but I don't think it'll take them that long. I think offensively they were rusty too. In the first half, they really didn't make shots. Adam Flagler was hot, but other than that, I mean, it took Jared Butler a minute to warm up. Same thing with Maceo. So I think their offense was just as rusty, but I think they'll shake it off. I mean, they just needed that one game to get back, but now I think they can get rolling again.
King, how much of a break do you think they got with the West Virginia game scheduled for tonight being canceled?
Yeah, that would have been tough to play Iowa State, then play West Virginia tonight, then Kansas on Saturday. That's super tough. And just given the fact that, I mean, we're coming off COVID protocol, we really don't know what exactly happened. So if a player did have COVID, I mean, that's just not safe to try to bring them back in and overexert them like that. So I'm glad that they moved that game to next week, because I just don't think that's fair.
King, what are the expectations? There are 4 games left.
Used to winning. I mean, we've been winning. We're 18-0. You want to carry that and keep that going into the tournament, not just the Big 12, but the NCAA tournament. So you really want to win all of them, to be honest.
Now, Kansas did lose in overtime to Texas the other night, but they have won 5 of their last 6. Is this a different team that Baylor's seeing on Saturday?
Yeah, Baylor. I mean, Kansas is starting to get it rolling. They're starting to turn it up. They're actually starting to look better. I mean, I've really watched a lot of them recently because I haven't really been doing any of their games. But from what I've seen in the scores and the box scores, it seems like they're starting to really get going. They're starting to really play together and starting to create more shots offensively, because they kind of struggled to score the ball for a little bit early. And defensively, they just weren't the same because they don't have those guys like Devontae Graham, Frank Mason that can just put their head down and go get a bucket and just create offensively. So it seems like they're starting to figure things out. So, yes, I think it'll be a different type of team that they're seeing. But at the end of the day, it's still, Baylor being Baylor is what's going to get them over the top.
What did not have an everyday John in the lineup against Iowa State show you about this team?
I feel like it might have exposed maybe an area where Baylor is kind of lacking in the interior. Because when you look at it, the best lineup was Mark Bowdle at the 5. Because Flo, I mean, I love Flo to death, but Flo just like at the 5, he kind of struggled because they put him in a lot of ball screen situations, and he got in foul trouble. So when Mark had to go to the 5, that was the best lineup because you couldn't set ball screens because every time you set a ball screen, he would switch. However, when we run into a big who can actually go down there and score, like let's say we run into a Luke Garza or a big of that caliber, that might give us some trouble because then when you have all those shooters out there and with the lack of depth in the interior, they could play off of him and feed him because if it's one-on-one with Luke Garza, it's a bucket. But he's able to pass the ball well enough to be able to find the shooters. So that could potentially give us trouble. But, yeah, I mean, I think that's what it showed more than anything.
You know, King, I don't know how much is paid attention to what's said on social media, what's said about the team when you're in the moment of playing in a season. But obviously, Baylor's 18-0, number 2 in the country, and they had the long pause, and they had struggled on Tuesday night against Iowa State. Do the players hear any of the chirping from anybody that says maybe that they're trying to duck anybody we know that's stupid or that Baylor needs an asterisk next to what's going on? Do they even pay attention to that?
I mean, yeah, of course you hear it. Like, everybody's going to say it. Everybody's going to talk. I mean, and as a player, you always hear that stuff. But at the end of the day, your only concern is winning every ball game. So, like, you hear it kind of goes one out in one ear and out the other because you always hear it. Like, a lot of people say, I don't pay attention to, what people say about me. No, you always look on Twitter. People are always adding you. People are always saying something to you in your DM, saying something. You always see the articles, the headlines on ESPN. You see it, like we see it, we hear it, but you can't pay attention to it. If you linger on it too long, maybe you might start to believe it. And the minute you start to believe it, that's when things go downhill. So you really just have to let it go in one ear, out the other, and just move on from it.
You did something near the end of that game that I was very proud of you. That looked as if it was over, and Jared Butler was about to go to the free throw line. I think it was. They had taken Iowa State too long to take a shot on the previous possession, and you pretty much said the game was over. Then you came back and kind of said, well, wait a minute, I'm not so sure that's true. That's important that you saw that. You didn't have to admit that, but I thought that was a pretty classy thing you did.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of times as commentators, not trying to throw shade, but like we always think that we're right, and we always think that our opinion is what really matters, and we can never be wrong. But there's been a lot of times this year, like, you're not the first person to tell me that. People have tweeted at me and was like, hey, when you corrected yourself on this play or corrected yourself on that call and were able to admit it, and you won me over. And that's just me. Like, if I'm wrong, I'm going to admit that I'm wrong because I feel like there's not a lot of things I know. But particularly in that situation, I've just seen some crazy things in basketball. So when I said that, I was like, I think I spoke a little too premature because Jared can miss these free throws. They can throw up a heave. They can throw a crazy shot, and boom, it's in overtime. The Iowa State wins. So yeah, I spoke a little too prematurely at that time.
I don't know if you were here yet, but there was a Kansas State game against Baylor that they run at the buzzer that like exactly 3 things had to happen in 1.4 seconds, and they did, and they won the game. So yeah, those things can happen, King. We do have to talk about Matt Meyer's mullet. And when you said, I started cracking up in the broadcast when you're like, I can't believe he came out here with a mullet.
Man, so I actually went to breakfast with Matt and Jackson that morning, and they wanted to call themselves the Mullet Bros. And I mean, I'm like, okay, that's kind of marketable, like in a sense, like the Mullet Bros, 2 white dudes with mullets in college basketball, and one of them was like really, really like elite. Like, that was a walk-on, but still, like it's still marketable. So I said, you know what, it might be a great idea from that standpoint, but like, bro, that's a horrible haircut. Like, like, and then Matt was talking about getting like, I think on Kansas when they play Kansas, don't be surprised that Matt Meyer has like designs in his.
He's gonna go Bosworth. He's gonna have like the lightning strikes.
Yeah, he might have some parts or some designs in his mullet.
Oh,
and
man.
might pick it up for Kansas. He was gonna do it for Iowa State, and if he did it, I said I had to get like a close up on that. I have to give him his own little box during the game, but he didn't do it. So he might do it for Saturday, so don't be surprised.
Man.
I can't remember who said this one time, but there was a team that was going about their business, and they were methodical, and they were doing really well. Then all of a sudden, there was a big game, and I remember a high school coach, I can't remember who it was, when a couple of guys came out, and they had just different things on their uniform. Like some of them had the bandana. It was Barry Switzer. He said that about some of the Oklahoma quarterbacks. They started changing what they were wearing. He's like, why are you doing that? Because they started, not that Oklahoma's not always had attention. They've always had great attention. But the guy went out and played a great game, so he said, okay, you can keep it. It might have been Thomas Lott. But there's something about that. When you start to worry about what you're wearing or your hair or whatever, aren't you losing focus of what's important?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely can agree with that. I think Coach Tang was huge on that when I was in school. He never ever wanted. He actually wanted us all to be the same, all look similar, because he didn't want us to try to draw attention from what we're really supposed to be out there doing and focus on the wrong things. But I think just with Matt and the mullet, like that's just Matt. That's just who Matt is. I mean, like Jack was always rocked the mullet. Matt, he had like shaggy hair, but I guess he just made it to be a mullet. And that's just who. If you know Matt, like Matt's he's different like that. I ain't gonna say weird. He's just different like that. He just wants to rock a mullet. And I mean, honestly, I feel like that's not even something to draw attention. Like it's just something to make yourself look bad. Yeah. So like, if you want to go out there and look bad and wear a mullet, like, okay.
If you do that, you better go play well. You better play well. You play well.
You better play well if you're wearing a mullet. You better get buckets.
So, King, how much do you think this team, or did you get any sense of just kind of how exhausted this team was after having that first game back in so long?
I mean, I think that, I actually like, what happened, because I think that Baylor really hasn't been tested in a sense like that. Like, that was a game, that was probably, as crazy as this sounds, that was probably the closest game Baylor's played all year.
Yeah.
And I feel like they needed this test. I mean, they needed to see like how they're going to react when everything gets tight. See if they're going to fold when the pressure comes, and they didn't. So I actually liked the way that the game turned out, because it made Baylor better. I mean, you see how your veterans are going to lead and take over at the end of the games. But as far as a sense of exhausted, I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I think one thing we don't really take into consideration when you're sitting out for 21 days is your cardio. And, it's easy to get out of shape, but it's hard to get back in shape. So I wouldn't say they're exhausted, but I think that now had they played this game today and then Saturday, it would have been a done deal. But I think this little 3-4 day break gives them a time to get their legs back and get back in more shape, better shape.
Did you do that afternoon game yesterday? You mentioned you had like a 4:00 game. What was that like to do a game? It's a weekday to do an afternoon game. That's like a tournament time or something.
Yeah, it was NCA&T and NC Central. And NC Central, they have that documentary on ESPN about them right now. The Why Not Us, that was Chris Paul and Stephen A. Are directing or producing. And so they had like the camera crew there and everything. I was doing it from right here. But it was actually kind of cool to see that, because I actually watched that documentary. It was actually really good. But it was a good game. A&T beat them by like 17. But it was a good game, and it was a weird time to do a game, like 4:00, mid daylight. It's kind of weird.
Yeah,
it was good.
King, thank you as always. Anything else, Paul? Greg? Yep. All right, buddy. Thanks, King. Appreciate you always being a part of it. It's great stuff. King McClure did the Baylor-Iowa State game, former Baylor guard, with us on SicEm365 Radio.
Matt Rule also told a story in that 11-win year that it was in the middle of the year or whatever, or maybe it was getting towards the middle of the season, but they were winning games, and all of a sudden somebody, he didn't say who, for some reason I always thought it was Graylin Arnold, just because he's the type to rock a bandana, but somebody showed up at practice wearing a bandana all of a sudden who was never wearing a bandana, and he's like, hey, what's that bandana? Like, what are you wearing? And the kid was like, oh, it just looks good or whatever. He's like, you've never worn that until now. Why are you all of a sudden wearing that? And, and he's like, no, take the bandana off. We haven't worn that before. We're not going to start, wearing it now that we're winning games. And that's what I remembered in hearing about the Matthew Meyer thing is Matt Rule's telling that story.
Look, Bull Durham, the movie, has the best explanation for why that stuff works. It's not because, if you, the way, basically, to take all the lurid details out of it, basically, Kevin Costner tells Susan Sarandon, look, if you think that you're, winning because your shower shoes are disgusting, or you think that you're winning because of this or that, then you are. You don't mess with it. You just don't mess with the winning streak. So whatever is working, you keep doing it until it doesn't work anymore, and then you do something else.
Yeah.
All right. We appreciate King McClure. A few more of the responses on the basketball field house and or the football ops building. And there are some that have mentioned the football ops building, but there's even a picture from Malbec. Basketball field house first, and then something along the lines like this, which is a massive, beautiful, I think it's maybe Texas Tech's facility, their indoor facility, track and field facility, which is incredible.
Well, they need indoor so that you don't get hit by a tumbleweed while you're doing 100.
Rifle Bear asking this on a sports forum during our best season ever. I hope we get 100% new arena. We need a legit place to practice so fans will come consistently. With that, with what people have made in the market the past few years, we should be able to do final and B-ball.
If only a big alum had been on the GameStop stocks, you could all of the things that you wanted and more. But no, I guess I'm not surprised because this is typically a topic. It's kind of like uniforms. That, by the way, you got to check your notifications.
Who?
You have 200, you have every single thing that you've typed on still getting notified for that. You never check those?
What does that mean? I thought that's a message I get from anyone who's on the board, and then this just means that the people
you just
are
never
watching.
clear it out, though?
Do I do that?
That's the people replying to a tweet or to a thread that you've been on. That's why. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's directed at you, but it's just people responding to a thread you've been on. But you've got like 1 billion notifications, so I was just wondering if you clear this out.
I'm going to try to
Anyways,
clear it. Okay.
That's a topic that's always, something that's fun for fans to talk about, uniforms and things like that. But I'm kind of surprised this many people are commenting on it in a way. I guess just because we haven't spoken on it in so long, and it is something that's obviously of interest, and anything sparkly and shiny and new that improves your program. So I'd say maybe basketball field house is leading at this point. Would you say?
Or? Oh, big, 70%, 7 out of every 10, or about 7 if it goes any deeper, and I think that'll run for quite some time as well.
Well, maybe I should ask Mac Rhodes about it next week to get an update on where they are with all that.
Mickey Spagnola will not join us. He will join us here in 10 minutes, but I want to bring that up again. I mentioned this earlier, that the SMU death penalty, this was the anniversary of 1987, so it's been 34 years. Is that right? 34 years since that. It's amazing it's been that long.
It only took them 31 to get back to actually playing at a consistently good level.
I wrote this down in my reminders, and this has been in my laptop, my calendar forever. I don't know when I put it in there, but Mickey Spagnola wrote an article about the press conference when he was with the Dallas Times-Herald. Chuck Cooperstein was at the press conference, so we might try to get Chuck on tomorrow, plus the Mavericks and much more. We always talk to Chuck about anything. Quidditch, whatever it's called. And so we'll get into that as well. Hey, tomorrow, Andy Katz, one of the national basketball writers, he'll join us tomorrow. Also, Jim Meehan, he covers Gonzaga. We're going to be on with him tomorrow. He'll be on at 3:30 with us tomorrow. Grayson at 3:45 as Baylor goes into the weekend. Maybe there's another commit on the horizon. And, of course, we'll continue to do much when it comes to the NFL. When it comes to the Big 12, Baylor men's and women's basketball.
As it stands right now, there's a strong chance of a commit this weekend based on reading the tea leaves. So you might, if you're a member over on the premium side, have an idea of who that is. I don't know for sure, but you will probably be getting some news this weekend.
Here's a quote from Bill Self. Bill Self wants Jayhawks to shift focus to Baylor after loss to Texas. He said, this is after the game, and maybe the day after the game. Everyone's putting a big emphasis, in my opinion, on a loss. We played the 14th ranked team in the country on the road. Obviously, it's going to be hard to win no matter what. But then he said, this game, Texas, didn't mean anything from a winning the league standpoint. And who gives a crap about the Big 12 seedings? Would I have loved to finish second in our league? Yes. Yeah, I would. If we won that game, we would put ourselves in a position to finish second in our league, but we didn't. He then went on to say, this is not anything that should alarm us or rattle us at all. We're in the NCAA tournament. I'm confident about that. We're playing for a seed of the tournament. This could have been a seed line for 2 or 3 for us. We don't know if we get one. So I love the fact, and here's a guy that's won an inordinate amount of Big 12 championships. He knows winning the conference, of course, this year is out of the question. So that's back-to-back. No, they came back last year. I thought one of their best of all the years they've won it, I thought last year was one of the most impressive because Baylor at one point was, 13-0 or whatever it was. So that's Bill Self. They will be full throttle Saturday in Lawrence, Kansas. Yeah. And he's right. He goes, we're in the NCAA tournament. He made another comment about Baylor, but we need to focus on Baylor, and that's what they'll do. And you know that's what Baylor's doing as far as Kansas as well after Tuesday's win. Now,
can you imagine if they had to play tonight?
No.
I don't know if I'm emotionally ready after. I mean, Armstrong, are you emotionally ready for another men's game tonight? Could you have been ready for that?
And then turn around and play again on Saturday.
And then turn around another road game. Yeah, that would have been a home game then at least. But I think West Virginia might have just beaten them up tonight.
I think tonight could have been potentially ugly. Yeah. Potentially.
And you don't know. Maybe but there was that chance because they're playing at a high level as well. And that's what sucks about the 21-day pause. I saw a note, and I don't know if it was Ashley or someone on the podcast, he and Jason King, they do such a great job. Somebody mentioned when Michigan came back and played with Wisconsin after what they had as a pretty long pause, they had practiced like 9 times after the pause, where Baylor had practiced on Sunday and had a little bit of whatever they could do on Monday before the game Tuesday. So and Michigan struggled. Remember, they were down by double digits to Wisconsin before they were able to come back and win that game. So that's the pause is one thing. It's how many times you can practice after or during, or who can practice that makes a big difference as well. All right, when we come back, Mickey Spagnola, his latest on Dak and the Cowboys. A little bit we'll share with the Joel Corey information. He was really good, Joel Corey. Thanks for his time. He's already reached out to us on Twitter as well. And then also today, we'll hear from Art Strickland at 5:15, the PGA Tour, and Alberto Jones, the head coach at Ellis, and they're 26-2 playing Saxe tonight. If they win, there's a good chance they play the number 1 team in the state, Waxahachie, in the next round. This is SicEm365 Radio.
The First National Bank of Central Texas. They're the sponsor of the Mickey Spagnola segment. And they're fantastic in everything that they do. Everything I've ever had to deal with, the First National Bank of Central Texas has been easy to deal with, and they always have your back as the customer. They've got 5 locations right here at home: Waco, Woodway, Hewitt, China Spring, Mart, and Hillsboro. Familiar faces making local decisions, here to help you, your family, or your business. Whether it's great times or tough times, all of us need a bank we can count on. Great people with great technology dedicated to their customers and helping our area grow. Safe banking in person or use their online and mobile apps, and convenient drive-thrus and ATMs at all locations. They've got first free checking, and when they say free, they mean free. No minimum monthly balance, no monthly service charge, unlimited check writing, and unlimited debit card purchases. That's at the First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations right here at home.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
It's time to be brutally honest with yourself. Look in the mirror or weigh yourself. Do you weigh as much, more, or less than you did before the holidays or a year ago? Why not start the year in better shape than how you ended it and create momentum for 2021 and help strip the negative vibes, tension, pressure, and extra pounds from the crazy of 2020? It's time right now to join Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness. It's so much more than a gym, including world-class tennis courts, lessons available with pros, fitness merchandise, tanning, massage, personal training to get you over the hump. I promise you'll look better and feel better than ever before. Just need to walk through the front door. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Court. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp, spacious, clean workout room, free weights, Cybex cardio equipment, and no intimidation, a tremendous camaraderie and family atmosphere. So make this your best and healthiest year ever. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? by not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference, and that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jeweler, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store.
Here's Elliott. He will get it. Touchdown Dallas as Elliott fought for it and has his 6th of the year.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Mickey Spagnola of DallasCowboys.com. Brought to you by the First National Bank of Central Texas, with 5 locations to serve you.
I just saw this earlier today. ESPN, Mel Kiper put up his first-round mock draft, and this year he's doing something different. I haven't had a chance to visit with him in a long, long time, but we've had some others who are NFL draft so-called experts, geeks, whatever, analysts, and it's all cool. There's hundreds of them. But he actually this year included his first round. He included trades, like people trading up and why, and it kind of something that's a little bit new rather than forecasting 1 through 32. The Cowboys with Patrick Surtain, the cornerback from Alabama with the 10th pick is at least what it is now. Who knows? Most of these things are always wrong. But they're always, I love watching them. Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com, joins us on SicEm365 Radio. Mickey, I'm not going to start with the Cowboys. I wrote down a note. This has been in my laptop calendar, reminders for years. It was on this date, 1987, the SMU football team received the death penalty. Did you not cover the press conference for the Dallas Times-Herald?
I did. I was, if you could believe it or not only was our sports editor on vacation, but the assistant sports editor was also missing. So they put me in charge of organizing the coverage. And if you remember back in '89, the Dallas Times-Herald still had 2 editions, morning and afternoon. So somebody had to take the hit to write the afternoon story, because I think the press conference one had started about 10:30 or 11 in the morning, and we were right on deadline. So I was sitting way in the back on some little desk. I can't remember. It was a little table because it was a fancy room they put the press conference in, and I'm banging my brains out trying to get the story done in time to meet our deadline. So I actually had the first story, and then the guys that covered the team did the light deadline for the morning paper. But yeah, I was there. So today's the 24th or 5th?
34th.
The 24th, right?
Yeah,
34th.
34th.
The date. Are you talking about the date or the anniversary?
Yeah, well, this is 1987.
No, the day of this week's date. It's February 24th, right?
Yes.
25th.
25th.
Oh, it's 25th.
Yeah.
Well, you know what else happened on the 25th, right?
Was that Jerry, right?
Yeah, he bought that. That was the day they bought the team. So this SMU thing, I think I said 89. It was 87.
Yeah.
And Jerry bought the team on the 25th with, and you'll remember this guy, Frank Lux's birthday would have been today.
Oh, one of the great guys ever. So was that?
And that was how he spent his birthday in '89, covering the Cowboys breakup. Yeah.
What was more tense, the SMU death penalty press conference or Jerry being introduced as the Cowboys' new owner?
Well, we knew that's what was going to be announced, that he would be the new owner. And I think we already had known that he was going to part ways with Tom Landry. So that kind of was new. The 87 one, they were going to make an announcement, but no one really knew that that's what the announcement was going to be. And remember, the guy that was the lead, I want to say he was the lead investigator, David Burst. Does that sound familiar?
Yes, it does.
Yes? Yep. And he had a panic attack up there. And as he was getting ready to do the announcement, or maybe right after, I can't remember the timing, he nearly passed out, and they had to kind of grab him. And so it was like, oh my God, this guy's having a heart attack over this decision. So yeah, that was that. I think that one, because you didn't really know what was coming, and just the drama and the fact that they were basically killing a program, which they did, right, for however many years, until SMU was able to recover and come back. But at that time, when they said death penalty, it sure looked like at that time that it was for good, that they would have to give up football.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it was that guy having a panic attack that made them think of, like, look, we did it once. It shows that it puts the program back, and it damn near killed a guy.
Yeah, I think that was as stressful, as tense, and I think he basically almost passed out because of the pressure of what they were doing and what they were about to say.
The magnitude of it, you guys, because it never had happened before, right?
Yeah, and it hasn't happened since. People have been hit pretty hard, but nothing compared to what SMU dealt with in 1987. All right, Mickey, you have been very vocal that Dak could have done some things himself. The Cowboys could have done some things themselves. The clock is ticking in a way. How did we get here? Was it that Dak wanted less years, or was it that the Cowboys wanted more? How did they get to this point in the first place?
Yeah, and you know what? I'm not really sure, because, where we left off last year with their offer was basically, they were offering him a deal over 5 years that was going to average $34.5 million, almost $35 million a year, $55 million signing bonus, and $110 million guaranteed. So it wasn't like they were asking him to take a hometown discount, or they were shortchanging him. They were offering him exactly what was being paid to the other quarterbacks that had already signed extensions. Now, and especially if you consider that those quarterbacks that signed extensions also had 2 years left on their original deals. So when you divide that out of what those guys made, they were averaging over 6 years, not even right at maybe $30 million, $28 million a year. So, it seemed like it was a good offer. So what we don't know, and we still don't know, guys, is what Dak's people were asking for, right? We haven't heard that. Was it 40, 45, 50? Were they trying to get ahead of the game, figuring that when these other quarterbacks signed that the price was going up and he needed to be the highest paid? And then we heard about the years. And here's the other thing. If you think about back to last July 15th, when the deadline passed to sign him to a long-term deal and he had to play on the franchise tag, a story came out that they were real close, and they ran out of time. Well, if you were close then, what's changed? Why aren't you still close now? Now, I did discover something that I didn't realize back then. So, Dak's agent, Todd France, he left the agency he was working for, CAA. So this happened July 15th. They mutually parted ways in August, and he joined a new agency in September. Coincidence? I don't know. And I don't know how agents work with their money, right? Normally they get 3%, but does some of that go to the agency you're working for? that you're no longer working for, and now you're working for another one. So I don't know if that factored in to what was going on or not. But to me, I think the Cowboys are still in the same, situation with a 5-year deal, and they certainly wouldn't say, okay, you're going to make less, because they realized, and the money early in last year over the first 2 years was basically going to be right at what he would have made in 2 years of franchise tags. So if you added a $55 million signing bonus that you get today when you sign and give them a $15 million base salary, that's $70 million. So add up 31.4 and 37.7. Well, you get to right around $71 million. And you would have future security. Now, I've told you guys this before. Does he want to roll the dice on his football mortality again by turning down guaranteed money for the future to take that money for 1 year with no security? Think about that. Think about, and by the way, Todd France, and I hope I can remember the guys' names. He had 2 other guys that were that got franchised, and neither of them signed. Justin Simmons and Bud Dupree at Pittsburgh. Neither of those 2 guys signed a long-term deal. They both played on the franchise tag. And guess what happened to Bud Dupree in December? Or his ACL.
Yeah, he may not play until October or November this year.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you like now to go into free agency and you're going to market yourself by saying, "Ooh, I'm 3 months away, 3 months removed from ACL surgery"? So that's the chance these guys are taking. It's one thing to bet on yourself playing well, but can you bet on yourself staying healthy? Because the last thing, how do you market yourself? What if Dak's injury was much worse and it was bad enough, right? What if it was worse? And what if, the prognosis is, well, yeah, maybe by training camp you'll be ready to go. Is anybody else going to sign you to a long-term deal with maybe out there? There's kind of a commercial out there about maybe, right?
Yeah.
Almost. I think it's some sort of mortgage company. Yeah. But anyway, you want to gamble on that again? I just can't imagine it.
Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com with us Thursdays, most every Thursday at 4:30 on SicEm365 Radio.
Mickey, do you think that the Cowboys will change their tune if it gets to draft time, or do you think July 15th is the date and they'll worry about drafting or replacing Dak if they get to free agency when he would actually physically get to free agency?
Yeah, I don't think the draft would impact their idea of going forward with him and bring in. I mean, think about what they have on offense. Do you really want to turn that over to a rookie quarterback?
No.
Even, right? No. So I wouldn't imagine the draft would have any impact whatsoever. And I saw the story today that Russell Wilson mentioned the Cowboys as one of 4 teams that, he would be mind traded to. Well, what the last paragraph of the story pointed out that if Seattle trades Russell Wilson, they get $39 million stuffed into the cap as dead money. They can't do that.
Yeah, no, that completely takes it off the table realistically.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's the same thing with Deshaun Watson. His would be in 30-some million, I think. So, yeah, that's why I continue to point out you cannot treat these quarterback contracts cavalierly. They're serious. That's serious business, because if it doesn't work out, you pay a significant price, like Philadelphia is right now, $33.8 million dead money for trading Wentz. So number one, you got to think you're right. Number two, if you're not, and all of a sudden they want to leave, well, it's an expensive breakup.
Mickey, how much restructuring of contracts do you think is going to go on this offseason?
I think they're going to have to do a couple, and you got to wait to see what the cap's going to be. It was supposed to be no lower than 180. I've seen some things suggesting 185. So that would be, you could say, oh, well, if it's 85, that's only a drop of $13 million from last year. But that's not. But you got to also add on what you didn't increase, which would have been at least 10 more million. So that's like 23 million difference from what you planned on when you made these contracts, because you would base salaries on guys with big deals going forward. When you're saying, well, by that year the cap's going to be 210 million, so I can do this, this, and this. Well, that's not going to be the case. So yeah, right now, I mean, if the Cowboys had to, do the franchise tag on Dak tomorrow to just reserve his rights, they would have to restructure a couple deals, because they've got about, maybe 20 million, 25 million available on the cap right now. And if it costs 37.7, my good University of Missouri math says you're $12 million in the hole, right? So, yeah, they'll have to have some of that go on.
Mickey, thank you very much. Appreciate you. As always, Mickey
Good to be with you.
You too. Mickey Spagnola, Thursdays with us on SicEm365 Radio. Coming up next, Ellison head basketball coach Alberto Jones. They're really, really good. They won their first game. They destroyed Cedar Hill. They play Saxe tonight. If they keep winning, and if Waxahachie wins, that's number 1 ranked team in the state. And Killeen Ellison is very, very highly ranked as well. Alberto Jones next on SicEm365 Radio. Don Shumidor in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco. They've got a 48-foot walk-in humidor loaded up with incredible brands of cigars. Some of the elite brands of cigars around the world, from Christoph to Padron to Cohiba to Romeo and Julieta to Ashton, Arturo Fuente, Rocky Patel, and many more. Punch is that one that's kind of got the flat sides. It's pretty cool. And they have the Cuatro Nicaragua, which is the number 1 rated, the aging room, Cuatro Nicaragua, which is the number 1 rated cigar in the world, and inside their 48-foot walk-in humidor. Pipes and tobacco. They have the accessories if you smoke cigars, from the cutters to cut the edge of the cigar, the tip of the cigar, the torch lighters to light it, the humidors to keep them in nice and fresh. And also CBD products. Carrying CBD products, including the Vita Dreams. If you toss and turn, some can go to bed just like that. Some you toss and turn. It might not even be one of those things where you had a lot in your mind. You just don't fall asleep very quickly. Well, go by Don Shumidor and talk to Ashley and Carol about Vita Dreams to help you perhaps get even a more comfortable, relaxing, and longer night's sleep. Don Shumidor and coffee beans with all the flavors and aroma you could imagine inside, again, their great store in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Day event at Allen Samuels. The 2020 Dodge Charger SXT, ranked number 1 in initial quality and driver appeal, has special values of $6,170 or 0% for 72 months, plus $3,000 in combo cash. The 2020 Dodge Charger is at the forefront of muscle car design. From the body to the wheels, it continues to impress. Visit the customer award-winning Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco, to see the 2020 Dodge Charger SXT. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Don Shumidor, you're home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the number 1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Arturo Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Shumidor in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. And a long business meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line. Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Are you a SicEm365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at SicEm365.com.
All right, here we go. You know, it seemed like the start of the high school football playoffs, man, gets all sorts of attention. The baseball or the basketball playoffs can kind of sneak up on you, because, and especially in a year like this. We're now joined by Ellison head basketball coach Alberto Jones. They are really good, and he's had a program that he has built there that has been fantastic. They played tonight against Saxe. Alberto, it's great to hear from you. How you been, man?
Been pretty good. Thanks for having me on.
I know you're already up there and you're ready to go, and you have Saxe tonight. They beat Legacy in their first-round game. Tell me, again, just the continuity, the consistency, the winning that you've developed, the culture in your program, how it started, and how long did it take, in your opinion, to get to where you wanted it to be?
Okay, I can't take credit for it, though. Coach Manley had it rolling before I got here, so I just kind of kept the thing going how he had it. And it's been 13 years since I've been here. We've been in playoffs 12 of those 13. So we've just been fortunate and blessed to have good athletes.
Does your team think about the record and then like how many games you've won, or are they very focused on the actual task at hand when you have to play a game?
This group is so carefree that, I mean, they're just focused on the next game. I think half of them probably couldn't even tell you our record right now.
Alberto, when did you get a sense that this group had a chance to be pretty special?
Maybe after the first maybe 6-7 games. You know, we were kind of worried this year because in our first scrimmages we didn't do too well, and we lost a few key guys from last year's team. But after maybe 5, 6, 7 games, we kind of thought this group had a chance.
We have, I had Kevin Gill on from McLennan County. They got beat last night by Ranger. I got a text from Sean Hunt. Ranger, that was an impressive win for Larry Brown and company against an unbeaten MCC. But he mentioned that Killeen, the area of Killeen, is a sleeping giant when it comes to recruiting, and that not enough people actually sometimes pay attention to what's going on down there. Why is that when that city in that area and that school district has produced as many good basketball players as it has?
I guess I could say probably because of the size. You know, you think of Texas, you think Dallas, Houston, and the bigger markets. That's the reason I would probably say.
Alberto Jones, head coach at Ellison, with us on SicEm365 Radio. Saxe is tonight. Your thoughts about them?
Forest. You mean we got Naaman Forest?
No, I'm sorry. Naaman Forest. I'm sorry.
Yeah. They're we had Saxe last year at the same exact time though. That's probably what you were thinking about last year. They're pretty good. I mean, they got size, they're long, they're athletic. You got a couple good guards, so it's gonna be a battle for us tonight.
You know, you guys have knocked on the door, and you've been really good, as you mentioned. You've been knocking on the door. Do you feel like because you've been so good for so long now that the next thing is that next level for Ellison basketball to make everybody happy?
Personally, I do. I mean, but, you know, the kids, they just kind of, like I told you, they take it game by game. But personally, I think, because you said we've been so close, especially last year, one game away. So I think that's the next step. But we just got to keep playing hard, and hopefully we'll get there one day, hopefully pretty soon.
Alberto, personally and professionally, what's it been like to navigate, a season with all of the things that are in play that typically wouldn't be, with the protocols and just all the uncertainty? What's it been like to navigate through a season?
Believe it or not, we've just been so fortunate and blessed that we've had a season that all the ups and downs and the obstacles, we just kind of just been just playing through. I mean, we kind of put everything in perspective after you go through the summer, not sure if you're going to even have a season or not. So, I mean, it's been hard, but I think we put everything in perspective, and we're just excited and blessed that we're having a season.
A lot of people debated on whether, certain sports should be played or not. Can you speak to what it's meant for your young men to have this opportunity to play? What's been the benefit of having them be able to have the opportunity to play basketball this season?
I mean, they're playing a sport that they love to play, that they've been doing so much, especially for my kids that are getting recruited. If they didn't get to play this year, they might not get a chance to go to college and play basketball, and who knows what they would do. So I think it's important because they're doing something they love, but more importantly, I think it gives them a chance to do it at the next level.
Shamir Bogues is at Tarleton State. I just noticed he's averaging about 7 points a game. He's already started 11 games. How proud are you of what he's already done in college?
Man, very proud of him. We knew Shamir could do it from the beginning, but we're very proud. We talked to him all the time, and he came to a couple games when he was in town, so we're proud of Shamir. And Meyer Knuckles, he played on that. He's on that MCC team you just talked about that got their first loss yesterday. So we're proud of all of our alums.
You're now building classes who are graduating from playing at Ellison, who are putting up numbers over a 3-year span of 80 to 90 wins in a career. Is it almost a competition of who ends up with the most at the end of their run?
If it is, it'll probably be a friendly competition. Like I told you, but these guys are so carefree. I think once we tell them, like, hey, you got X amount of wins in your 3 years here, they'll kind of look at it and think that's pretty cool. But I'm not sure if they even really paid attention. I mean, I guess that being carefree could help you sometimes, it hurts you sometimes. But, I mean, they're so carefree, they just kind of go with the flow. So I don't think it's that big of a deal to them right now. I think that's going to be something that they look back on later on, and they'll kind of see what they accomplished and be kind of proud of what they did in that span.
You mentioned last year how you were a win away from the state tournament, the loss to Wiley in the Region 2 championship. Do you still feed off of that, or is that something you can only let go eventually, or it becomes almost a burden if you think about it too much, or do you just kind of always have it out there for you or the players?
Yeah, we talk about it often. I mean, often we go through and see we'll say how close we was, and when we're doing things and we're not finishing, we'll say, well, if you do this right or you do that right, just the little things, because, we was, 32 minutes away from going to the state championship. So it's something that we talk about often.
Naaman Forest is coming off their first round win. They beat Horn. I kept on saying, Saxy, you're exactly right. I was looking at your record from a year ago. Now, you have to take care of business tonight. And I love what you said to me. I said, hey, we could try to get you on tomorrow if, in fact, you take care of business, and it could set up a game. You're number 3 in the state against number 1 Waxahachie. And I loved your answer. You said, I'd rather not look ahead. How important is that to make sure nobody does that?
It's very important. It's the playoffs, and one loss and you're gone. So, looking ahead to put you somewhere you don't want to be, where you overlook a team or overlook something and don't get to where you want to go. So we're just taking it game by game.
Alberto, thank you very much. We hope to talk to you again very soon. Congratulations on what you've done. As you mentioned, the table was set, but you know what? Sometimes that's even more pressure to keep it with all the great buffet of wins. So thanks for your time and good luck tonight.
All right, thanks for having me.
Alberto Jones, head coach at Ellison, number 3. They've been number 9. The possibility they play Naaman Forest tonight And then who knows, the possibility of playing the number 1 ranked team in the state in Waxahachie as well if they keep winning. Now, a couple of notes in the 5 o'clock hour. A lot of what's going on with Baylor, a couple of more things for Baylor men's basketball when it comes to the Defensive Player of the Year. We'll tell you about that. There's men's tennis. There's women's tennis who wrapped up something earlier today indoors because the weather got pretty nasty. There's track and field in the Big 12 Indoor Championships. There's softball. There's baseball. There's volleyball's back at it. Remember, they're supposed to be done, but they got, they moved their part of their season to kind of keep themselves warmed up to get to an NCAA tournament a little bit later on in the spring. All of that and more. SicEm365 Radio continues.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Over the middle, he's got a man in stride, and walking into the end zone is Josh Fleeks with the touchdown.
The 5 o'clock hour is brought to you by Edward Jones and financial advisor Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Welcome back into SicEm365 Radio. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak, David Smoak. Smoaky got a little distracted watching golf. It's okay.
Yeah, I saw a guy.
Everybody wants to watch the concession golf club in Bradenton.
There's a guy looking around in some trees. They're in Mexico, aren't they, Armstrong? Is that right?
Bradenton.
Okay, same thing. But he was digging around.
They're in Bradenton, Florida.
Okay, he was digging around in some trees and some of those places that might have the little slimy things that may be looking back at you. Okay, so both Mark Vital and Davion Mitchell are among the 10 semifinalists for the second consecutive year for the Naismith Defensive Player of the Year.
If the Defensive Player of the Year is not Davion Mitchell, I don't want to even talk. Let's not even have the discussion. I know there's other good players.
Marcus Garrett was really good last year, and he won it.
Yes, and that was a reasonable.
But he's been more of a point guard this year, although so is Davion Mitchell, but it's hurt Marcus Garrett, I think, that he's had to take on that role.
That was a reasonable comp, but Davion Mitchell has played so well all year long, and the way he attacks on defense, there's nobody like him in the country defensively, in my opinion.
All right, well, he and Mark Vital both are a part of the Naismith Defensive Player of the Year semifinalists. The Baylor softball team starts a weekend series. UConn and Ole Miss tomorrow at 3:30 and 6, and they also have Mississippi State on Sunday. That's the Lone Star State Invitational. It's a busy weekend. Baylor's in Round Rock baseball. We'll play A&M tomorrow.
That'll be interesting to see.
That's a hell of a damn sledgehammer of a weekend.
UT Rio Grande Valley, losses, where this team kind of steps back in and where they are. We'll have a much better idea. But yeah, coming off a couple bad losses and need to get back to it. So
A&M is 2-3, but weren't they a part of that? Were they up in Arlington with that deal? I don't know if they were.
Yeah, they were in that.
Baylor 1-2. They have 5-0 Auburn Saturday at noon, and then Oklahoma. They're 2-2. I just saw where Oklahoma lost to Stephen F. Austin, I think, in one of those midweek games. Track and field of the Big 12 Indoor Championships in Lubbock, in that facility I was talking about. See if Lightfoot sets it on fire. See what happens there. I got a question for you. Okay, women's tennis beat Tyler Junior College earlier today, 6-1. Men winning last night, 7-0 over UT Arlington. Softball beat UT Arlington last night, 6-1. So who was the king of swag in a thing of athletes?
Dion?
Yeah, I guess Dion would be.
He was the first one.
He has on his board.
Griffey and Dion were kind of simultaneous for me in the night. And Jordan, I guess, as well. You'd have to throw him in there. But yeah, Dion, Griffey, and Jordan were kind of like the icons, I think, of swag in the 90s.
Deion Sanders, no shirts hanging outside game jersey. Blue socks only, no skin between shoe and sock. No back flaps showing. In other words, those rib protectors or whatever that is. No black tights. That's coming from Dion.
Yeah, but see, Dion also, he never looked like that when he was always
he always had a towel flapping.
He had a loose chin strap. He had gloves that were not even
big chin straps that were like hanging off the sides of his helmet. So that,
He usually had a shirt or something underneath that was kind of loose. He'd have the do-rag on. We've named 5 things that he had on.
But wasn't he if you look good, you play good. If you play good, they pay good. That's his whole thing. So
gold chains.
Yeah, the gold chains. But that's not one of the rules, though.
Yeah. Florida State. There's a guy, Dennis Hohenstell. Do you think FSU had dress rules for their players back in the day? Not judging, just wondering.
No.
What if one of the rules was no gold chain?
No, I can tell you, back in no day.
Yeah, but that's Dion the player did that.
Look at that picture.
Dion the coach is, maybe of a different mindset.
To be fair, his shirt's not hanging out.
Oh my God, he had 5 towels hanging off his.
But those are towels. Those are utilitarian. So I'm just saying.
You're such a homer. God bless you.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe he has some sort of an issue with players on his team who loves to go all out with that kind of stuff, and it's a way to reel it in. I don't know, but hey, it's his program, his rules. So you're going to dress the way that he tells you to dress.
Based on the picture you have, he's not breaking any of the rules that he wrote down. So based on the picture that you have, he's not breaking any of those rules.
Well, we don't see what he has below.
There's different.
He has if any skin showing between the socks.
His chin strap's not even strapped.
Yeah, but that's not one of the rules. I'm saying based on his rules, he's not being hypocritical. Yeah. Now, is he being hypocritical in the fact that it's semantics on what looks good or what's not?
Okay,
Yes.
what about with the Cowboys?
Oh yeah, I mean, like, yeah, like he. But I mean,
the NFL had rules that prohibited him
exactly.
having the half jersey and the
So like, but if you look at this picture that this person posted, based on the 4 rules we see, he's in compliant with his 4 rules. Now, any kind of like others, what looks good or not in a uniform, that's in the debate. But what I'm saying is, based on that picture, he's followed those 4 rules. There's no shirts hanging outside of his jersey because he's not wearing one underneath. There's no black tights on. All those things, like he's compliant with those 4 rules.
He has 19 wristbands.
Not one of his rules. So again, I mean,
if that ain't the pot calling the kettle black is one of the.
Yeah. I mean, it's very true. But again, based on those 4 rules, he's only set 4, all of those, and he was probably smart enough to look at some pictures of himself.
Here's the thing: even if there were rules, Dion was good enough to where he could bust every one of them.
Yeah.
He could bust. Now, speaking of historically black colleges and universities, that's what Jackson State is. UCLA has added home games against Alabama State and North Carolina Central to its future football schedules. Alabama State in 2022 and North Carolina Central in 2023. Both games at the Rose Bowl. Each team has their world-renowned band, the mighty Marching Hornets of Alabama State, and North Carolina Central's the Sound Machine Marching Band. So that is how HBCUs can start to get more attention by getting a chance to play in games like that, in a setting like that, against a Division I or Power 5 team, and you never know, they could get beat 50-6, or they might actually win.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody's going to line up to try to play Jackson State with Dion there because they know that the level of athlete's going to be higher than most HBCUs. But, if other programs can get, a nice payday and a trip out to Los Angeles and get a chance to showcase their band on the Rose Bowl stage, I mean, I think that's awesome for them. So, yeah, that's one way to go about, kind of raising your stock, I guess, if you're HBCUs, is to, have some matchups like this and then on occasion win one. And
make some money doing it.
Yeah, make money. Money makes the world go around, as we all know too well.
Jackson State, if they keep getting the guys they're getting, Dion could beat Chip. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Scotty B, let's not forget now, in college football, you cannot have any abs showing while wearing a jersey. The half jersey, the tearaway jersey, things like that have changed quite a bit over the years. So that's of interest as well.
I guess he was just reinforcing that rule. Maybe he didn't realize that was already a rule. I don't know. But he was definitely known to have the midriff showing when he was playing, that's for sure.
A couple more notes on that facilities question. Most everybody now, I'd say about 75% have mentioned the basketball arena, but also a couple of more, both postpone the visitor center if necessary, otherwise basketball fieldhouse, football ops, and visitor centers in that order. And that old 300 Bear can't use the visitor center money for anything else. I think it's pretty fully funded, which is also the case based on the money that goes into specific parts of what they're doing.
The other thing I will caution you is don't Steve Patterson things. If money is put aside for that thing, you spend it on that thing.
Yeah.
And Steve Patterson did that at Texas, where they had a fully funded tennis center. It didn't go into production. He went and met with a guy, and he tried to be like, well, we don't need 10, all those things. And he was trying to push that off and all that. And then guess what? Steve Patterson's not there anymore. Yeah. So somebody gives you a donation for something, you use it for that.
Joel Corey brought this up when we had him on earlier today, and Art Strickland will join us in the next segment as well. But Deshaun Watson met with David Culley apparently about almost a week ago, and this is now being out there. He did it by Zoom, and it didn't matter. But, at least, Watson at least gave Culley an audience. Watson's message, according to various sources, was that nothing has changed. He still wants to be traded.
Yeah, I mean, I never thought that anything was going to change. I mean, David Culley does nothing for me if I'm Deshaun Watson to make me go, you know what, all this stuff that I was upset about, it's all cool now because David Culley's here. And, I mean, I didn't see how that was ever going to make a difference for him when it was already pretty clear what he wanted. And J.J. Watt's on his way out. I mean, Deshaun Watson's not going to be the guy left, held hostage back in Houston.
The difference, I mean, like, if David Culley came in and, David Culley's never been a head coach before, and as well thought of as he might be around the league, it's not like he's Bill Parcells who can come in and go, all right, I want this guy gone and this guy gone. Mm-hmm. Because Bill Parcells could do that when he was still coaching. It's not like if they had hired Sean Payton from New Orleans, Payton would come in and go, listen, I don't want Caserio here. I don't want this guy or whatever. Or even if Caserio likes Jack Easterby, if he had gone and tried to hire a big boy coach and the big boy coach didn't want Jack Easterby there, he'd have been like, well, Jack Easterby's gone. Well, David Culley is not a guy who has the kind of sway to get rid of Jack Easterby. The issue is Jack Easterby and Nick Caserio and Cal McNair now by extension. So that's the issue. Those guys aren't gone. So Deshaun Watson's beef will continue. Now, the problem that Deshaun Watson has is there's no impetus even before the draft for the Texans to do anything about it because he's under contract for 4 years. Like, they don't have, like, it's not like it's a year or they have to do it and lose him. Like, he either has to sit out or play and grin and bear it. I mean, that's the only things he can do if they really don't want to trade him.
Yeah, that's you just wonder. They have the player. He doesn't want to be there. We all know that he's going to end up somewhere else, barring some sort of a Hail Mary. The question is, has he done enough damage with all of what's gone on to where they're not going to get what they should get for him? And I hope for the Texans' sake that they still get, not that they'll do anything with it or make the right decisions or choices, but what do they get in return? And will they get enough in return? And that's the question that we don't know how to answer.
Probably not.
I don't know.
I mean, how can you?
They've drafted okay, haven't they?
The Texans haven't had draft picks in the last few years. Bill O'Brien, I almost cursed there, pissed them all away. I was going to use a different word. I mean, he just gave them all away.
Deshaun Watson's a draft pick.
I mean, that was right before Bill O'Brien, or right during, was it?
DeAndre Hopkins was a draft pick, right?
Yeah, Rick Smith. Rick Smith was there. Yeah. So, yeah, see?
So the World Golf Championships going on. Of course, golf was dominated this week by the incident, the wreck involving Tiger Woods. I saw a couple of notes from the sheriff's deputy or whoever it was that showed up at the wreck that said Tiger had no idea that he was hurt as badly as he was, but he was, of course, the great news was there was no impairment. There was nothing like nefarious, as one of you said yesterday. You listen to a lot of different feedback from people, but the tournament is going on right now in Mexico.
Bradenton, Florida.
Webb Simpson and Matthew Fitzpatrick are 6 under par. Brooks Koepka 5 under par.
It's near the Gulf of Mexico.
John Rahm is 5 under par. Those are some of the names out there. But Tony Finau, 4 under par. A lot of guys are going under, very deep under. And this is one of those where you have to qualify, right, Armstrong? You have to have a certain amount of points to get in the World Golf Championship. I think you do, don't you? It's part of that where you qualify based on what you've done. Dustin Johnson, 5 over today. That's interesting. He may not even make it to, maybe even get back under par.
So is America's friendliest golfer, Bryson DeChambeau.
He's 5 over?
Yeah, he's 70. I believe he is 77 as well.
Did he really? Yeah. That's weird because last week at the Genesis Open or Invitational, he shot 4 or 5 over in the opening round, and he missed the cut. Even though he went 69 the next day, he missed the cut. So it's interesting. I wonder if he's toying a little bit with his swing or what. Never know. Because he didn't miss many last year. He was dominant. He was as close to being the player of the year as anybody else could have been. Who was the player of the year last year in the end? Do you remember, Armstrong? It wasn't DeChambeau, was it? Justin Thomas or Dustin Johnson? Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure who the player of the year was. Dustin Johnson. Okay, and of course you won the Masters in November as well. When we come back, Art Strickland has been following, obviously, like everybody, the Tiger Woods story, what he's heard. Next on SicEm365 Radio.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Has the trucks, man, they have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man, he has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
All right. This 5 o'clock hour, Craig Smoak, Paul Catalina, David Smoak. We got a new intern in today, huh? Haven't seen him in a while. Armstrong, who's in studio with us. Cole's in studio with us. Cole has been, I don't know. We kind of had a...
I think Cole doesn't have any windows, and he still thought he was snowed in.
Yeah. Good to see you, young man. Running the audio, the mothership. Of course, Armstrong, Sims, and Jack McKenzie's back there working on Paul's top 5. I didn't realize it was going to take as many hours of time of Jack's day to do a top 5 graphic. We'll come up at 5:55.
He's already done with mine, right?
Yeah, he's working on something else. Okay, good. I think he's got the Shipley's Donuts.
I think he's not in a productive relationship with Drake. Drake makes him reinvent the wheel all the time.
There's a few other people not in a real productive relationship with Drake. Got to work on that after the show.
Jack's at his best when he just sits in his corner and works on graphics all day. And no one talks to him.
He's very good at it. We almost need to get like a and nobody tell you he's hurt. Art Strickland covers the PGA Tour for us and for a lot of people. He's a columnist, analyst, and of course has his trips that he puts people on when it comes to go play some of the great places around the world in golf. Art joins us on SicEm365 Radio. Obviously, Art, everything on the PGA Tour, they're playing, but it almost all stopped, of course, with the news on Tiger's wreck, the scenes, the video, and a lot of the stories that have come out of it. I know you have your own people that know Tiger. I'm not saying there's not much information coming out, but what have you heard from those who might be closest to him that you know?
Sure. Yeah, I've made some calls over the last 24 hours, Smokey. And, of course, the first reaction to everyone is just horrified. I mean, anybody that saw the video, saw the car, saw the crash, they were horrified. One friend said he was sick to his stomach, after seeing that. Thought that he would never see Tiger again. And so I think the first reaction was obviously, horrified, and then relieved that he was alive, to be honest with you. But I think over the last 24 hours, people I've talked to, Smokey, say this is Tiger Woods. There's no greater work ethic challenged athlete, maybe ever, certainly that's still playing today. And they believe that Tiger will look this as the next great challenge of his life. And one of the things I think people may be overlooking is the father-son that he played with his son back in December. What a great time that was. What a bonding time it was. Tiger doesn't want to end now. He wants his son to see him play golf on the regular tour, and he doesn't want his career to be over with. And so the people I've talked to, and I don't claim to be a friend of Tiger by any means, but what I know of Tiger makes me think that he has not hit his last shot in competition of golf.
Does this change, though, what the goal is for him? Instead of maybe winning a major again, is it just getting back?
Well, I think so. I think you've seen, it sounds strange to say this, but I think you've seen some softening of Tiger over the last couple of years. He came out in his career, really, first 15 years, he said, my goal is to win. If I don't win, then I shouldn't be here. Tiger was the guy who coined the phrase that second place is just first loser. Mm-hmm. So I think that you've seen a little softening of that. I mean, you saw the genuine relief of him at the Masters, 2 years ago when he actually did win, and not, I expected to win, not, well, this is what I came for, is to win. The fact that he'd achieved what he and most people thought we would never see again, Tiger Woods winning a major golf championship.
Hell, he'd gone yeah.
I just think that you're going to see Tiger back. I don't think you're going to see Tiger saying it's win or nothing. I think being back, and I think you're going to see Tiger. He had already done this, pick the courses he feels most comfortable at. There's nowhere Tiger Woods feels more comfortable at than Augusta National Golf Club in Augusta, Georgia. And so, not to promote the art of golf or anything else, but if you want to take on a good bet, the 2022 Masters, April 1st tee, now on tee, our 5-time champion, Tiger Woods.
No way. No way. You think that's going to happen, really? I hope that you're right. I just don't see that, but people have bet against him before. It was 11 years between his last major when he beat Rocco Mediate and winning the Masters. You know what's weird is that sometimes over the weekend, I have the 2019 Masters on DVR, and they show, I don't know if it was the Golf Channel, whatever it was, but they kind of show that in a rapid fashion, the highlights of it, and show him commentating on it along with others. And I had just watched it over the weekend, and I was like, how amazing was this? All right, what about the impact on the tour? What about, he's been out before for long stretches of times, injuries, personal issues, and the tour has survived. What about now?
Well, I think the tour will survive. I don't think it's a situation where Michael Jordan left and the NBA really floundered for 5 years until, kind of a new group of stars, Luka and all these guys kind of came on. So I don't think it's that situation. But I just think that he has such an impact because Tiger Woods has two things that no golfer probably since Arnold Palmer has had. And he's got unbelievable charisma. More than anyone else on the tour, His charisma, his magnetism is off the charts, and he has an incredible shot. Now, I know Paul put up a thing on YouTube the other day, and Golf Channel's done some stuff on Tiger Woods, 5 great shots, 10 great shots. You want an intern to spend 3 hours. Tell him to go pick out Tiger's 5 greatest shots. You can't do it. There are too many great ones that he's hit. And so I think that's the 2 things that you will miss. I'll miss his magnetism and his charisma. And you don't ever know when there's a aha moment coming. I remember when I used to work in Louisville, we'd get tickets to the Texas Rangers game. I always picked the tickets when Nolan Ryan pitched, because you never knew when Nolan Ryan was going to throw another thunderclap moment, a no-hitter, a perfect game, a 5,000 strikeout. And that's what you see from Tiger. You don't ever know when Tiger is going to hit that shot you'll be talking about for the next 10 years. But he can do that more than anybody else on the tour, maybe ever.
Armstrong, you have a question. It's not a golf question for Art, but is it a?
It's not a Tiger related question, but I do have a question about Jordan. If I ever ask a golf question, it's going to be about Jordan Spieth.
All right.
So we saw this past month Jordan kind of, in some ways, getting his legs back under him. I mean, he was at the end of some tournaments in it, never could finish. But does it look like Jordan's maybe getting some confidence back, that he could be back, kind of be back, I guess?
Yeah, I think that's definite. In fact, I don't think I'm talking too much ago, but I spent time talking to Jordan's dad, Sean, this week. And that's exactly what I said. I said 3 straight top 15 finishes. That's going to make you be really happy. He said, Art, we're almost back to where we need to be. And, golfers, like anything else, they need confidence. And the fact he didn't win, I don't want to say it's unimportant, but it's not as important. In fact, he was there 3 straight weeks, top 15 all 3 times, gets that kind of feel of winning again. And I do think that Jordan is on the way back. And we talked about golfers being comfortable. No place Jordan Spieth, top 15 finishes in the Masters 5 times. 5 top 15 finishes in the Masters. You know how many times he's played the Masters? 7. Out of 5 out of 7 of the Masters, he's had a top 15 finish. That's a place he feels very comfortable. So, we could see a little Jordan Spieth, North Texas place in DeChambeau, Masters Texas Showdown here in a couple months.
Again, Art Strickland, golf columnist and analyst with us on SicEm365 Radio. They're playing that tournament down in Bradenton, Florida, the World Golf Championship. What in the world is going on with Brandon DeChambeau? He shot a big number in the opening round last week, missed the cut. He's 5 over after the first round. I don't think there's a cut this weekend because it's an invitational or it's a golf championship. What's going on with his swing?
Embracing DeChambeau is a mad scientist. He really is. He's going to hit it, and, he humbled Wingfoot at the U.S. Open last year. Humbled that course. One of the toughest courses in America. Made it look easy. Everything was clicking for him. And that can happen. But it can also happen the other way, Smokey. Mm-hmm. It can be quick and bad, and he can shoot 80 or a big number or something. So Bryson is not a consistent winner. You can't be with that kind of swing and that kind of, his swing thought is to kill, go for it, break all the rules, hit it the most dangerous line. That can't be a consistent winner. But boy, that guy is a firework waiting to be lit. And you saw it at the U.S. Open at Wingfoot, which I never thought he would win there. And I think you could see it again at Augusta.
Yep.
People at Augusta, the Smoke, you've been there a ton of times. They're very protective of their image, and they're very protective of their golf course. Bryson didn't care about any of that. He wants to embarrass Augusta National. That's what he would take great joy in, embarrassing those people.
Just going right over those palms.
That's what you're going to see from him. That's what he's going to try to do in April. And little final hole duel between Spieth and DeChambeau and the bad TV viewing for us Texas guys.
Yeah, or even get Koepka in there. He and DeChambeau. I said, Craig just reminded me, I said Brandon DeChambeau, Bryson DeChambeau. There's one other question about a player off the top. He shot 84 today. He was second to DeChambeau at the U.S. Open. Matthew Wolff was fourth in the PGA, second in the U.S. Open, and I just looked at his scorecard, and unless he got something that I don't know, food poisoning or what, he had on the back nine, bogey, double. He had a quadruple, a double. What's going on with him? He's got that weird swing, but obviously it works for him.
Isn't that what you saw me shoot when we played over at Cottonwood Valley? I thought exactly what I shot.
I think it's what it was.
I just think that guys that have a unique swing, it's not going to be on all the time. It's really not. And so when it's on, it's fantastic. When it's off, and DeChambeau is not going to ever, kind of like Phil in that sense. Phil is always the mad scientist, the tinkerer. He'd always have 5 wedges and 2 drivers, and but when it was on, man, it was brilliant. And I think Wolf with that hitch in his swing, and I think Mike McGraw would roll his eyes if he showed up at the Billy Williams Spectrum facility, wanted to try out for the Bears with that hitch in his swing. But it works for him, and it works a lot of the time. So don't change it if it works.
Yep.
But it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Because DeChambeau is not going to win 2 or 3 events going to the Masters. That's not his MO. But he's going to come to the Masters primed. And I think Steve will too, because it's confidence. It's all confidence.
Art, thank you very much. Appreciate it for your time. Art Strickland, PGA Tour columnist. Also, you can go. Well, is it The Art of Golf? Is that what it is? I always ask you that, Art, the website where people...
theartofgolftravel.com.
Yes, theartofgolftravel.com, where you can go play and spend time at some of the great golf courses, not only just around the country, but around the world. Art Strickland with us, Baylor graduate, SicEm365 Radio. Coming up next, the Lady Bears. They took care of their business last night. Dee Richards, remember that collision with Moon Urson? I asked her last night, did she ever lose her love of basketball during that time? And sometimes you gain even more of it because you lose something and don't know if you'll ever get it back. And also, do they ever? They're a win away from clinching yet another Big 12 championship in the regular season. It would be a share. They want more than that. West Virginia lost last night, and then Baylor beat one of the other teams right behind him in Oklahoma State. A couple of comments from Kim and Dee next on SicEm365 Radio.
During the President's Day event, Allen Samuels has special pricing on a new 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited with values up to $3,250 or 0% for 72 months, plus $1,000 in combo cash. Or a 2021 Jeep Cherokee. The new Latitude Plus has up to $6,000 in total values or 0% interest for 72 months and $1,250 in combo cash. Allen Samuels award-winning customer service. The best place to find your next SUV. Located at 201 West Loop 340. Allen Samuels is your friend in the car business.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
In Texas, there's pea-size hail and baseball-size hail. Guess which one hit our house? We didn't even know where to begin, but we called our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent, and he was so reassuring. He knew exactly what to do to get our house back into shape and our lives back to normal. Now, we're even more thankful for the roof over our heads.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The Sic'em365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
All right, here we go. This 5 o'clock hour winding down quickly. Paul's 5 at 5:55 coming up momentarily. Women's basketball last night took care of their business against Oklahoma State. They're on the verge of yet another Big 12 regular season title. I think that would that be 11 in a row? Mm-hmm. I think there was one year when maybe they shared. I know if I get this wrong, all of you will let me know this, but they've dominated. We know that. The conference tournament, West Virginia got them one time. But for the most part, since I've been in Waco in 2010, I think there's been one regular season title that was shared, and maybe they lost the conference tournament that year to West Virginia when they had the young freshman that was so good, and she's really not been as dominant since that time. But they won again last night, and this was, after the loss to Iowa State, coming back from the pause, okay, who's going to, is this the, no, they just like clockwork. So after the game, D.D. Richards, Dejanay Carrington, who was good again, and Kim Mulkey. Which would he start with, Paul? Who am I pitching into?
D.D.
D.D. Richards had 10 assists, I think it was, last night, and she's playing at a very high level. And here's a question for her, a couple of them, and then into Kim Mulkey.
Dee, with all that you've seen, been through as a team, yourself, whatever, you're on the verge of winning a win away from a share of the title, which is like 50 in a row, and then also getting to 15 wins to win it outright. Does it make it even more special this year that you're on the verge of doing that with all you've faced?
Definitely, especially with the way the season ended last year. Whether we won it or not, it wasn't the way we wanted to end it. So being able to win it this year with, whatever adversity I faced, individually, and having the adversity that the team faced with COVID and everything that, speaking for the team, I think this is a real special moment on Saturday.
Kim, you ever thought much about that?
I start thinking about conference championships when you get closer to clinching them, and there was no escaping telling the kids. I told them that West Virginia was playing at Iowa State tonight, And depending on the outcome of that game, if West Virginia gets beaten, you win 2 in a row, you can clinch a share of the title. Now, obviously, we don't want to share it. We'll need to, win 2 more after tonight. But the fun part is if we can beat Kansas State here Saturday, you can celebrate on your home floor. Now, we don't have all the fans we normally have, and I'm sure they're not going to let them come on the floor and celebrate and cut nets down and do all that, but we're certainly going to do it. We're not going to take any shortcuts. The confetti will fall, and we will do all that, but you got to win the game first. So we'll enjoy tonight, and we'll get in the film room tomorrow and be ready to go early on Saturday morning. Do I think about it very much? In 21 years that you've won it 11 times, sometimes I think about it when I'm at home and have a quiet moment and just kind of think, wow, keep feeding that monster.
So that's Kim Mulkey with Dee Dee Richards on the fact that they are on the verge of yet another one. And when she says 11 in 21 years, I'm thinking, wait a minute, I think it's been like 10 of. So what happened? Well, of course, they won one early when were they the conference champions when they won their first national title? I don't think they were. Were they in 2005? That should be off the top of your head, right at the tip of your tongue. I don't think they were, because weren't they kind of a surprise?
They were surprised nationally. Yeah, but because Oklahoma was really good that year.
This is stunning that you don't know this.
And it shouldn't be.
Conference championships. Yep, they were 14-2. They did. So they won it in 2005, but they've won it every year since 2011. Every year since 2011.
But they didn't win it. That's the other thing is, look, they didn't win it for that time in between.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. There was a stretch in between where some others were pretty good as well. But they have won the conference championship every year since 2011.
Well, and I think it should be pointed out that everybody's, in a frenzy over the men. And I understand it's different. The men in any given year, there's 6-7 teams that could all be contenders for the championship, and it's different in the women's game. It just is. We know that. It's maybe Texas is a team that's tough for you. Maybe West Virginia one given year, but having said all that, however, my main point is that it's amazing. Year after year, they just win them like it's nothing. They win them like it's like handing some, it's like a thing of Tic Tacs. It's just one after the other. And for the men, they're still just searching for the first. So I know it's kind of different, settings or circumstances, but don't ever take that for granted, because there's going to be a time when the women's basketball program, or at least you hope there never is, but it could be any number of other programs around the country who don't even think about it, during this time of year, or don't have any reason to be excited. And the women are just as consistent as it gets year in and year out.
It's unbelievable. Really, it is. And it's sometimes it is even, no matter if the number in the nest that can win something like that. They've come from all different sides. They had the upset loss to Iowa State, and they've regrouped. They've had the loss 2 or 3 years ago at home, or 4 years, whatever it was, to UT, and they regrouped. They've had some teams step up on them, and they just, here they are. They're going to win another one.
Moon getting hurt earlier this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
That could have totally derailed them, and it's amazing still how quickly Dee Dee came back, and what a scare she had, not that long ago once again. But it's amazing their consistency.
What's the next part, bro? Is that it? Those two together, but winning the championship, and now on the verge of yet another one. They got to get another win or two, and maybe someone else loses. But West Virginia lost last night. They beat Oklahoma State. Coming up, Paul Catalina's 5.
Let's keep it here for the next.
See, there was another example. What was I trying to do?
Here's the deal, Smokey. You bragging about.
I'm not bragging. I was
breaking early.
I was not bragging. I just was bringing up the fact that
it was a recall from a couple days ago.
I was trying to stay on time, which means we're ahead of time, that we don't have to have another commercial break.
I do have one interesting story, and it's maybe not of interest to a lot of different people out there. I'm just not going to get involved. Just finishing the show, buddy. Just finishing the show. But
go ahead.
The Larry Nassar story was a pretty big deal a few years back, and that happened shortly after Baylor had their whole saga. And that was actually a story that ESPN tried to take as seriously as they took the Baylor story, although they haven't taken any story as seriously since then, including, the Edo story here recently and countless others. But we know why that is. But regardless, Larry Nassar was the big bad wolf, and there were a lot of other bad acts around him as well. And one of those, John Geddert, a former USA gymnastics coach, He was facing a bunch of charges related to all this, and he killed himself, committed suicide after they decided to file the felony charges against him. So
wow.
He's not going to face the punishment because he decided to go ahead and cut that short like the coward that he is.
Wasn't there a story up earlier today, because that came down at 3:32, so that's about 2 hours old. Was there not a story earlier today, because I almost printed it, about the charges?
Yes.
That was what the charges were filed, and then he killed himself because of the charges.
Jeez.
24 felonies, 20 counts of human trafficking, forced labor.
That's what I'm saying, but I thought like the updated story before that was today.
Yeah, it was today.
Today he came on the dam.
Yeah, like hours after the charges were filed.
And I don't know. I don't know what USA Gymnastics has done in the last few years to completely address. Like, they need to. Pretty much everybody who's involved in it needs to just not be involved in it, and they need to start from absolute scratch. And we probably need to start looking at gymnastics at the levels below that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that.
I mean, the same way you look at religious institutions and things like that for predatory behavior, maybe this is something you really need to look at, because it seems to be a gathering place for the worst kind of people.
Well, a lot of people take advantage of young kids, man. It's just so disgusting, and these people were no different. The fact that human trafficking is like the severity of what he was accused of constituted slapping human trafficking on some of these charges. I mean, think of that about human trafficking. You're thinking about, young women being forced into sex slavery, or people being brought back and forth across the border. This is a gymnastics coach getting human trafficking charges because the behavior was so despicable with the young ladies. I assume it was all young ladies that he was coaching. And this is directly tied into Larry Nassar and countless others involved with USA Gymnastics. And man, what a point of pride that was, especially back in like 96, the Atlanta games, and that squad and what they meant to this country and all that. And I mean, they still had a lot of success since then. There's been a lot of other stars that have come out, but it's as bad of a place as it's ever been. And I mean, I used to, like, when rumors weren't even rumors, like before Twitter and everything was a rumor and all of that, there was always like little side chatter about the Carolis and their ranch in Texas and, all that kind of stuff. And we just kind of that was the way the world was, I guess. We just kind of oh, well, it's all fine. And no, not even close to fine, not even close at all. And so, this coward who hurt countless young ladies, after he did all that and got some charges slapped, he decided to just end it. So, I wanted to mention that story because it's a big story. It's a giant story. It's U.S. Olympics, the gymnastics team, and it's the scandal that's been going on now for, 4 or 5 years at this point.
20 counts of human trafficking and forced labor, a count of first-degree sexual assault, a count of second-degree sexual assault, racketeering, and lying to a police officer.
He coached the Fierce Five in 2012, Gabby Douglas and Michaela Maroney and that whole squad of girls. He was the coach of that team and obviously very heavily involved. And so, pretty dark day once again in USA Gymnastics.
He's the fifth person to be face criminal charges that stem from the Nassar case.
And I thought at first when I read it, I thought Nassar had done that. But
no, it was him.
No, it was actually this other guy.
Yeah, in fact, at the end, and we have Paul's 5:55 in just a second, but one of the things is the remainder of the charges against Getter all tied to his own behavior with gymnasts that he coached at gyms he owned in Michigan. Wow. And you're right, ESPN Outside the Lines, they were all over that like they were with Baylor and their sexual assault scandal, and how they have completely been completely quiet about what's going on, what went on at LSU. And did you see the story the other day? Go ahead, Craig.
I was just going to say, they, at least with Michigan State, they did that whole special 1 hour sports center when it was Jamel Hill and a couple of other people, and they talked about it one night, and that was when it kind of went past the coverage of Baylor, because they never did that with Baylor, nor did it require them to, because there was a lot more information, actual real information involved with the Michigan State story, whereas Baylor's story was as much rumors and lies and just, pointing fingers as anything. The Michigan State actually had some facts, that people could point to and cling on to. And so I do remember them doing that Sports Center special.
I thought part of the investigation against Baylor, one of the things that went a little bit, it was when the Devin Chafin story, they cut in for that and Hey, by the way, BU Wolverine 2012. The basketball field house is what we need by the Golden Boob.
The Golden Boob, huh?
Don't want it down. Oh, he's talking about the Farrell Center.
Oh, the Golden Boob. That's what he calls it.
I was waiting for you guys to catch up to that.
Well, I thought it was a screen
You didn't
name.
realize that, and you still read that?
I just read it right. I didn't even think about the fact that it looked like a nipple. I did not even think, or a boob. I did
You
not.
never think about that until right now.
And now I'm going to start thinking about it.
I really have not thought about that at all.
Is that what it's referred to by the students?
Not. I haven't heard that like as a common term.
Oh man, that reminds me of a new T-shirt idea for SicEm365.
I will not be able to forget I said that, or that I didn't know what it was.
We almost made it through the
No,
show.
I didn't even think about it, but yeah, I mean, a lot of people big on this basketball field house.
And a lot of it's the success of the men's. If they were 15-7 or 10-5 or whatever, I think it would still be there. But it's, I mean, now because of last year and this year.
And with downtown, I know that like the dream was always to have this downtown. Like, where would you even put it?
I don't like a downtown arena.
But like, where would you put it though?
It needs to be where students
There were
can walk
thoughts
to
about
it.
near the
Students need to
Robinson
be able to
Center.
walk.
Yeah. I mean, McLean Stadium is reachable by walking, no matter where you live on campus, right? Jack, Jack wants to add
especially
something.
more important to basketball, because basketball is the kind of sport where it's not a full day event. It's just I'm going to go for 2 hours because I have time.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it needs to be where students can pop by. I'm studying in the library. Okay, I'm going to go to the basketball game real quick because students don't plan around basketball.
And the students at basketball games,
Can't be downtown.
they're not at the women's games, and they can be pretty good at the men's game, but not always. Yeah, go ahead, Jack.
I strongly disagree with Armstrong.
A little bit closer. We got to hear you.
I don't know how many students actually walk to the games anymore. I walked to them freshman year, and it was kind of annoying. I lived most of the way across campus. Yeah, so I don't think putting it in the Farrell Center parking lot, that's not going to be any big change. Why not make a nicer arena closer to cooler stuff in downtown?
Well,
there is the appeal.
That's something you got to discuss.
There's the appeal if you can like walk to restaurants afterward, or the bar or whatever. But I just don't know where they would put it.
Baylor students go to the bar?
Yeah, we're around here, and like I'm looking around, and I see a lot of empty land that's now been claimed that it ideally would have gone on or been close to, and there's now apartments that are being put up there and new restaurants and shopping centers. I just don't know where you would even put it.
It is incredible, the growth.
There was one day where I had to, I forget what basketball game it was. I think the Lady Bears might have been playing UT or something, and for some reason I couldn't get over there, and I had to eventually get over there, and I had to park and I think it was like the football.
Yeah, no, you had to on occasion.
And that was not that long of a walk, and yet it was an annoying enough walk that I was like, I'm not doing this again if I have to park here, much less a student, walking all the way across campus or whatever the case may be. So I understand that, yeah.
All right, thank you. Well, and that's something. Well, maybe that's another discussion. Where do you want to put it? I've heard near the Robinson Tower. I've heard near off, but
we can get an update from Mac next week on where they are with that, and where they actually are. Because for all the last we heard about it was pre-pandemic. That's the last we've heard anything about any sort of fundraising for any facility. Because obviously you don't want to be asking for money in last March and April, or even to some extent right now.
All right, Paul's 5 at 5:57.
All right, top 5 scenarios for Russell Wilson. This is based on what would, if he does get traded, or actually, it's not even gets desecrated, but of the 4 teams
Desecrated,
listed.
is it what you said?
Does get traded.
Okay.
Check your hearing aid
No, I
battery.
think that's what you said.
Take a vote.
I wasn't even I started desecrated, and I was like, what?
Yeah, so does get traded. So number 5 would be the Bears. The Bears is a terrible situation. They have no offensive direction. They have no offensive weapons for him. Their offensive line might be okay, but again,
why wouldn't Deshaun Watson go to the Bears?
I mean, Deshaun Watson doesn't have as much of a choice. I mean, this is based on his list. He gave a list of 4 teams.
Okay.
Number 4 would just be staying put. Just stay in Seattle. Encourage them to build. I think this is ultimately what he wants.
Isn't that report today, or at least a report that he was not asking for a trade?
Yeah, not asking for a trade, but if he does, he has 4 teams on the list. Number 3, the Raiders. Gruden, Jacobs, they're pretty good at finding wide receivers. I think Gruden would do well with him. I think he'd do well in Vegas.
Did you see that Jacobs was number 2 in the NFL for most yards, I think, after contact last year compared to, or the last 2 or 3 years?
Yeah.
He's a good player. Their
Derrick Henry.
defense sucks.
Yeah.
But,
that's why they're not in the playoffs. Plus, you could, in addition to the draft picks, good deal for the Seahawks. They get a very serviceable quarterback in Derek Carr back. And, somebody can bridge the gap. Number 2, based on purely weapons around him, would be the Cowboys.
No, that's not true. It's just so that makes it even more discussable.
Yeah, I know. The Cowboys, and you didn't let me finish my thought before you interrupted, but I'm going to go ahead
this is just, we're not allowed to talk about it. I'm just saying, by using the Cowboys, it makes this even more of a story.
That's what I was going to say. I was saying this is only in there because if he wants to get traded, throwing the Cowboys in there makes it more likely for the team he actually wants to play for to make a trade for him.
Yep.
And so that's why. But they do have weapons that are, that would be good with Russell Wilson.
They have weapons that would be good with anybody.
Yeah, like the Raiders, their defense sucks. But, he'd walk into an ideal situation. I'm really curious with Zeke, like what he looks like. I'm really curious what he looks like this year.
Yeah.
I'm really curious about that. But outside, even with him being maybe not even full Zeke still, that's still the best option he would have, just offensive weapons-wise, without even a question about it.
And number 1, based on the teams he listed, would be the Saints. Kamara, Thomas, Sean Payton.
Well, yeah.
Russell Wilson would dominate with the Saints.
Yeah, with Peyton helping out.
My gosh.
Yeah, the thing with that would be a match that would make people probably lose sleep.
Yeah, I think the team that would be
he is 32 now, right?
Still has the biggest gap would be the Bears, but all those teams could be playoff teams or already are playoff teams, and then you add Wilson to it. Yeah, he'd put a lot of those clubs over the top. I don't know how much the Cowboys would really change, honestly. I don't know how much difference there would really be, but for the others, there certainly would be.
Here's the deal with the Cowboys. You get Russell Wilson, that sounds good. He's 32. Dak is, 26 or 7 or whatever he might be.
Yeah.
He's still got his peak years, you think, ahead of him, even with the injury, where Russell Wilson may have already peaked, although at one point last year, early on, he was thought of as the MVP guy.
The only way I, as a fan of the Cowboys, would be fine with them letting Dak walk is that Russell Wilson would be the reason they did that. Like, you're going to let Dak walk because Russell Wilson's going to be your quarterback.
Which has got to go first.
Probably you've got to convince Dak to sign the tender and then trade him to the Seahawks. It's a completely unrealistic situation, like Joe Corey said.
Yeah. It's
completely unrealistic. But I would not be happy with the Cowboys letting Dak walk and then going, all right, Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Maybe Justin Fields is going to be great, but
all right.
Not based on what they've done.
All right, Cole, did you have a good day today? Thumbs up or not? Okay, that's good. Armstrong, you got that Jordan Spieth question in. I know how to keep you happy. Jack, back in his little timeout corner. There's the genius of graphics. There's Shipley's Donuts box. Is that yours or is that Armstrong's? Armstrong, is that yours?
That's mine.
And you have a big thing, a salad ball, whatever. You mix it up.
That was my lunch.
Was that the yin and yang of your day today?
Yes, I had the donuts for lunch, so I had to balance it with the salad.
All right, Paul, good stuff today. Craig, great stuff, and both of you, appreciate all of it. And then our guest as well. Again, tomorrow, Andy Katz, Jim Meehan, who covers Gonzaga basketball, Grayson Grundhafer, and a couple of other guests we're working on. Thank you for watching and listening whenever you do, however long it might be. I'm David Smoak. Good night. Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to SicEm365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.